Clicking live with the squeaky flow. Tick tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, to the Waiting for AP show. That's what it is today. Sometimes it's the Waiting for D Wood show. Sometimes it's the Waiting for Both of Us show. Sometimes, on rare occasions, we're right on time. Hey, AP, you seen this breaking news?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
We just saw, ladies and gentlemen, we just saw a tweet from Visegrad. By the way, everyone, if you're not following Visegrad 24 on Twitter, you should. They also have a YouTube channel, so check it out. Me and AP both have interviews on that channel. But here you have Visegrad 24. The Israeli army has liberated a 21-year-old Yazidi woman from Gaza. Many of you who are watching the first time, you probably may have heard about the Yazidis was with ISIS. ISIS was targeting them. It's the Yazidi girls, turning them into sex slaves. But the Israeli army has liberated a 21-year-old Yazidi woman from Gaza. She was kidnapped in her home in Iraq as an 11-year-old girl by a Palestinian ISIS terrorist who forced her to marry him. She was then taken to Gaza, where she was held prisoner by the terrorist's family. Crazy story, you think? So the idea here is lots of people from all over the world went to join ISIS. They took a lot of sex slaves. This guy was from Gaza. He went out and joined ISIS, then took his Yazidi forced wife back to Gaza with him. And she was 11 years old. She's 21 now, so 10 years she's been held captive by these guys and is now free. That's good. That's good news. I mean, it sucks what happened to her, but good that she is now free and able to go back to her family.
So she was, according to the article, she was 11 years old when she was kidnapped in 2014. Then she was forced to marry a Palestinian ISIS fighter, and then she was brought to Gaza, where she was subjected to torture from the husband's family and so on. Was held there for a very, 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 very long time. And this guy, Steve Maman, who works with an organization that is all about saving Yazidis and Christians from captivity, and the guy is a Jew, was in the process of rescuing her, and finally rescued her and brought her back.
Well, now we know that the story is fake, because why would the Jews be helping anybody? Oh.
This is the thing. You have people there. You have a Jewish guy with a yarmulke helping Christians and Yazidis and others. Meanwhile, you have some nut jobs over here like, oh, Jews, why Jews? Jews, evil.
Hey, speaking of nut jobs, have you heard of the UN?
What? UN? What is that?
The UN. So I saw the news late last night. Then I was sending it out. You saw it. And we have, matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and read the tweet. We'll read the tweet.
Read the tweet.
And here it is. This is from Israel Katz. He's Israel's Minister of Foreign Affairs. And he proclaims, "Today I have declared UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres." When I hear his name pronounced, I don't know if this is because it's Portuguese or something like that, but they usually say sh at the end. Guterres. I don't know. I'll just say Guterres. Today I've declared UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres persona non grata in Israel and banned him from entering the country. Ouch. Anyone. So you might be wondering why. You might be wondering why would they do such a thing? The United Nations is all about unity. Anyone who cannot unequivocally condemn Iran's heinous attack on Israel, as almost every country in the world has done, does not deserve to step foot on Israeli soil. This is a Secretary General who has yet to denounce the massacre and sexual atrocities committed by Hamas murderers on October 7th, nor has he led any efforts to declare them a terrorist organization. A Secretary General who gives backing to terrorists, rapists, and murderers from Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and now Iran, the mothership of global terror, will be remembered as a stain on the history of the UN. He'll be remembered as a skid mark on the underpants of the UN. Israel will continue to defend its citizens and uphold its tradition, its national dignity, with or without Antonio Guterres. For it or against it, AP?
Absolutely for it. The guy has a great record of being just completely on the side of he's basically he is like the manifestation of this whole sickness that is currently going around in European countries as in many other countries of just giving in to popular opinion of the stupid ones, which would mean the younger and leftist population, the progressives, and the Islamic world, for example. He will go with whatever they feel and whatever they say, and he will, for example, during the whole war that is currently going on since October 7th, he has. The first time he spoke about it was basically when Israel fought back. His condemnations come when Israel does something, when Israel responds to what the terrorists are doing. His response to when the other side does something is simply, we need peace, we need a peaceful solution. And then when Israel does something, I am very concerned about this dangerous escalation. Repeatedly, always the same pattern. And then you have Iran firing rockets into Israel, and it's just his response to it is once again not a condemnation of what is going on, but rather, oh, escalation. We need peace. We need peace. We need peace. But when Israel does something, he again quickly jumps to the condemnations. This is no longer a United Nations leader. This is not a guy who is actually for human rights, for neutrality, for providing the best insights on where to go as humanity. This guy is basically a puppet of the terrorist organizations, the Islamic world, and the other political elements that are against everything that made the West great. That's a cancer, and of course, Israel should ban the guy.
Yeah, whatever happened to Boutros Ghali?
Yes, exactly.
I actually don't know whether that guy was a good Secretary General either. I just remember him from the Ali G show where Ali G interviewed him and called him Boutros Ghali. So these are the two guys involved in this discussion. So on the left there, that's Israel Katz, and on the right you have the UN Secretary General. But not so fast, ladies and gentlemen, not so fast, because there's more to this story. I have seen, because this just came out this morning, but I have seen that he may not actually have the authority to do something like that. So. Let's go ahead and read this real quick. It's from the Times of Israel. Foreign Minister Israel Katz announces that he has designated UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres a persona non grata, meaning the Portuguese diplomat cannot enter Israel. The Foreign Ministry says the decision is a reaction to Guterres' response after Iran's missile attack last night, in which he failed to mention Iran by name and did not unequivocally condemn its grave aggression. Israel Guterres's policies throughout the war have provided backing to terrorists, rapists, and murderers from Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and now the mothership of global terror, Iran. Iran is indeed the mothership of global terror. And if someone has a problem condemning Iran, that person definitely has a problem. But the article continues. In a statement, Katz says that anyone who cannot unequivocally condemn Iran's heinous attack on Israel, as nearly all the countries of the world have done, does not deserve to set foot on Israeli soil. It was not immediately clear if Katz has the authority to bar Guterres from the country, and reports in Hebrew media cite authorities from the Population, Immigration, and Border Authority as saying such authority would lie only with the Interior Minister. So there's actually a discussion going on whether this guy has the authority to do what he said in his tweet. I do not know. I do not know. But whatever happens, it's pretty hilarious and well-deserved and timely.
So he apparently today, just 3 hours ago, from his account, from Guterres' account, the following was tweeted yesterday. Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles toward Israel. Millions of people across Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory were forced to seek shelter. As I did in relation to the Iranian attack in April, and as should have been obvious yesterday in the context of the condemnation I expressed, I again strongly condemn yesterday's massive missile attack by Iran on Israel. These attacks paradoxically do nothing to support the cause of the Palestinian people or reduce their suffering.
Oh my goodness. So wait a minute. So after the Israeli foreign minister says, man, you suck for not condemning this and calling out Iran by name, you're banned, buddy. He's like, what? No, I do condemn it. And I do call out their name, just as I keep doing over and over again, because I always condemn these guys. That's what I do. It's what I do.
Look, right now I'm calling on their name. Just yesterday I didn't. I forgot, man. I
forgot. It's all over the news. You can't look anywhere, and it's like my job in the world to be paying attention to what's going on in various nations and so on. But no, I didn't see it.
It's just such a disgusting track record that the guy has. He calls the Israel's response to Hamas. He called the war a collective punishment of the Palestinian people, which is a huge exaggeration that you normally hear from ridiculous activists. When he condemned October 7, he basically did the whole two sides thing of like, I condemn this, but what Israel is doing and so on. He did that, which is something that you hear from, that people like that bald guy that we were listening to yesterday, who was the pro-Hamas guy. He repeatedly failed to pressure Hamas into actually doing something, and instead says, I urge both sides to seek a diplomatic solution, and I condemn Israel for the extent of the war, and so on. I'm sorry, man. If you are, if you think that there is any real world where after what happened on October 7, the both sides should just go forth and make peace and have diplomatic solutions, when this is contrary to the entire existence and the entire manifesto of Hamas, and you condemn Israel repeatedly for any response that they give, then get out of here. Get out of here. You're just the puppet. You are the head of the most corrupt, useless organization, which Netanyahu rightly called House of Darkness, and so on.
And you can see from that reaction, seems like he got a bit nervous after being called out by Israel. Because, guys, at the end of the day, the UN only works if it's actually respected by various nations. If nations say, you know what, heck with the UN, guess what? The UN doesn't work anymore. And as a leader, you're only going to be the leader there if you're only going to last as a leader in the UN if people generally respect you and so on. You can't just be respected by terrorists. If all the non-terrorists start thinking, wow, this guy really bends over backwards to appease terrorists and to cover for terrorists, Well, you're not going to last. You're just not going to last very long there. You could, I mean, you could get the votes. You could get the votes because you do have a bunch of really pro jihad nations out there and so on. But you have a lot more powerful nations who would have a problem with you, and so it's this situation where I don't know. The UN is like a bully, right? It's like a bully, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, till someone punches them in the face, and they go, "What? What is what? I don't want to. Come on, man. Let's just get along." It's so interesting situation there. Harris
That's what they
says.
do.
Harris here says, "United Nations is trash." Strong language, but
How
true.
dare you?
No dictatorships or authoritarian countries should be allowed in the UN. How can those countries vote on the atrocities of other countries? Make it make sense, AP.
This is exactly the issue. It's the United Nations, which is the protector of the human rights and all that, and all of these beautiful values that we establish in the West, not in the other, not on the other sides of the world. But the worst countries out there have votes that are equal to wonderful, brilliant, stable, functioning, liberal, democratic, free societies in the West. It's just so absurd. It is incredibly absurd. That shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, and you'll end up with, I don't remember the exact situation, but it was like you end up with like Iran on the Council for the Treatment of Women or something like that. You end up with these like insanely ridiculous situations. Yep, needs to be cleaned up. That's a problem, guys. You can form an organization with good intentions, and a bunch of people will use your good intentions and ruin them. And so
This is precisely why something like democracy, originally a good idea, does not work if you have too many members, too many people inside this democracy that are completely, in contradiction with the fundamental ideas that make a democracy functional. It simply does not work. It's exactly the whole idea of what the founding fathers of the United States have pointed out, which is that this system can only function if you have a virtuous society. And they also said, by the way, a religious society. But yeah.
And yeah, so it's weird because you have all these people nowadays who are, it's like democracy is the goal in itself. And you have all the founding fathers saying, guys, this only works for a population that has some sort of internal self-control. They can control themselves. They can handle their freedoms responsibly. If you end up with a population that can't, it's not going to, this does not work. They said it over and over, this does not work. It will not work for people who don't have virtue, for people who don't have internal self-control. It's not going to work. It's going to fall apart. And we see things falling apart and we're going, what? It's like, yeah, they told you exactly what was going to happen.
You take my self-control.
All right, so let's take a couple super chats, and then we're going to jump into, what are we going to jump into? I mentioned that story in the title, but there's actually a bunch of various things and some loosely related things. So we'll go ahead and get your hero, your fellow Turk, your fellow Turkish hero, your fellow Turkish delight, Chunk Yogurt, his response to Netanyahu at the UN. And we'll get Douglas Murray responding to your fellow Turk, Chunk Yogurt. And then we'll check out Greta Thunberg as she's finally making sense. She's finally making sense. People were wondering, why is she going into all the the free Palestine rallies? And she's been all about saving the world and saving the environment and so on. We're going to hear from Greta. Then we're going to hear from the hero of all Andrew Tate fans, Dan Bilzerian. We're going to toss in a little something from Gad Sad in here. So we're going to burn through all of this, but let's get started with a couple super chats here. Abraham says, hey, D Wood and Ali Dawa. Have you guys read much of Tom Holland's stuff? If so, what are your thoughts on his arguments regarding Islamic evolution? I'm not sure about his stuff on origins of Islam, but I think he's one of the guys. I think he's one of the guys that was pointing out that a lot of what's assumed about Muhammad is really, really, really shaky ground. I don't want to say anything beyond that because I haven't read it, but that's just kind of what I've picked up over time. But I could not comment on his thoughts on the evolution of Islam.
I wanted to forever read his book about Shadow of the Sword, Islam. Um, I think I started listening to it at some point, but never continued. But yeah, I can't say that I actually am brutally familiar with it.
Here I have John Choi saying Hamas is ISIS. Well, in this case, it was literally true. You had someone going, you had a Hamas jihadi from Gaza going out and joining ISIS, and then ISIS starts losing and runs right back home, and keeps his Yazidi sex slave. If Islam was invented today, it'd be outlawed. Oh yeah, Muhammad would be serving like 700 life sentences. Look at the picture. You see the picture of took that picture from that thumbnail. What an awesome picture. Now what's crazy is they can only have that picture of Cenk in the thumbnail because he actually makes those faces while he's speaking on a show. And they're like, oh, perfect thumbnail. Thank you very much, Cenk.
He is so. I mean, he really is incredibly neurotic. He shouldn't be. Like sometimes I'm afraid of my own inability to stay calm and to just say, just let go.
I'm concerned about your ability as well in that area.
But Cenk is just on a whole other level. And the thing is, he has these extremely childish outbursts and the inability every single time to listen to somebody whom he disagrees with for more than a minute or so. And then he starts losing it and starts making faces and he's screaming and yelling. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah. And like, how did that guy get so many views over the years? I would look at that and go, I would not watch this guy. And I understand there are different tastes, but different tastes and so on, but like, I don't understand why anyone would watch that guy.
Oh, people are stupid. That's why.
That's true. The people. But the people. Just remember, guys, don't be friends with school shooters like Watts. Inshallah, praise to Israel. Praise for Israel too. Yeah, I didn't see that, but that was trending. That was actually trending last night. People making fun of him. I'm guessing it was I'm guessing he just misspoke or something like that. I didn't see it, so I don't know. But I'm guessing he misspoke or something, but apparently he said he's friends with school shooters and everyone was making fun of him.
Really? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I still don't know how anyone can voluntarily watch those two people talk to each other.
Yeah, I thought about it, but people were saying they were like super civil and stuff like that in their discussion. It's like, wait a minute, not interested really for the content, only interested if there's a spectacle to behold. Apparently there was no spectacle to behold except for this guy saying, I love school shooters. School shooters are my best friends. I get along with every school shooter in the world. Something like that. I don't know. Hey guys, first super chat here. Thanks for all you do. Today is German Unity Day. And what are you doing here, AP, when it's German Unity Day? You should be out. You should be out marching, going, Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles Unity Day, ja, ja.
Is it Tag der Deutschen Einheit?
Ja.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Mit Freiheit und Gerechtigkeit für alle.
It is Tag der Deutschen Einheit. It's
Ich glaube meine Treue zu der Fahnen, ja.
Celebration of East Germany coming together once again with West Germany and stuff.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, I wasn't even. Oh, okay. So that unity, not just like unity of Germany, but like specifically the East and West.
Yeah.
Is this the anniversary or something like that? Is this the anniversary?
I think so. It's something about 1990. I don't know.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was in German class when it got announced.
You really?
Wasn't that interesting?
Was it?
And then we got to hear an awesome song by the Scorpions celebrating.
Was it now? Oh yeah.
Take me to the magic
Will it rain out tomorrow?
Stefan said, just got Logos bronze today after much delay. Thank you, D. Wood. Oh, yeah, guys. Yeah, good choice there, Stefan. I've mentioned this in a live stream before, and I posted a video. Friday's the deadline. Monday was the deadline for actually buying the Logos app. It's going to turn into a subscription model. So if you just want to buy it and have it forever versus that, the deadline was Monday. But after I sent out a video telling people about it on Monday, and then I sent out an email Monday night, which only left a couple of hours. But apparently they got up the next day and there were a bunch of messages saying, "Wait, is it too late? I just saw that. I just saw this. I saw this after the deadline. Is it too late?" And so they extended the deadline specifically for us. But anyway, if you guys want Logos, the Logos Bible app, which as far as I'm concerned, best tool for studying the Bible. I have another video. I have another video. You can check my video out and check out and see if you're interested. But it's good stuff. Good stuff. Very helpful.
Hey, speaking of Germany in October, it's Oktoberfest time right now.
What? Dude, we should be drinking beers in our live streams. German beers.
Should be going to week-long Oktoberfest celebrations, German style.
Oh, so yeah, you got to get those. You got to get those giant beers.
Those giant beers, and wear some Bavarian clothes.
Oh yeah, we need some lederhosen.
Lederhosen, and the women walk around with
with the cleavage all hanging out, the giant German boobs.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. Gutierrez couldn't give up Israeli shawarma. That's why he he backed down real quick. Like he probably went to the same sandwich shop that we went to, and he's like, "I can't live without it. I can't live without it. I got to have it." Vote Donald Trump 2024. Iran will learn. Is that true? Will Iran learn?
Inshallah, soon.
Thank you for your channel, and I really, really enjoy you doing your goofy voices. I've been having a rough time lately, so any smiles I can get, even when you do during a touchy subject, keep up the great work, David and AP. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And let's see, two more. If the U.S. leaves, how will the UN afford to fund terrorists and hold banquets and stuff? Yeah, just to be, I mean, the UN, at the end of the day, U.S. isn't just going to back out of the UN or something like that. But the organization, more and more people are becoming anti-UN, or just who cares what the UN says. And the UN only kind of works if people respect it and everyone agrees to do what it says. But if you just keep throwing entire countries under the bus to appease jihadis, more and more people are going to say, make any resolution you want. I don't care. I just don't care. Shut up. I'm not interested. And if the U.S. gets to that point, okay, you guys go do your thing and stuff. We'll still show up and stuff like that. But we're not interested in what you have to say. You don't want that. So
it was a funny thing. The U.S. response to the possibility of Israel striking Iran back and even targeting things like nuclear sites. I think Biden said that he will not support it, but also will not interfere, because basically Iran just asked for it. And yeah, that's what it's. It kind of, the situation looks a little bit messed up. The funny thing is that any American representative speaking about it basically just pointed out how ineffective and weak the Iranian strike was.
And they looked really pathetic. They looked really pathetic and weak. And
weaklings.
Wow. Little weaklings. By the way, AP, I mean, yes. Notice what's been going on, because we just talked about it. So before this even happened, we talked about how Israel's becoming increasingly like, I don't care what any of you guys say. You're going to call us genocidal maniacs no matter what we do. So we might as well protect our people and get some stuff done. We listened to you guys forever with Hamas and Hezbollah telling us, oh, just, be really gentle and put kid gloves on. You know what? We're sick of that. It's only gotten worse listening to you guys. So you know what? We're not listening to you anymore. We're going to go do what we need to do. And so they've been crushing Hamas. They took out the leadership of Hezbollah. Still going to be a fight. You still have a lot of Hezbollah fighters and so on. Going after the Houthis, going to be going after Iran, issued a major threat to Iran and so on. And then after all that, so we already talked about all that, but then after all that, you know what? Screw you, UN. UN, yeah, don't send your leader down here, buddy. Don't let him come down here. No, 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 no. And you're thinking, wow, these guys just telling everyone exactly what they think and doing exactly what they want to do. Um, one thing that I think may be playing a role right here
Yes.
is the election next month.
The election?
Israel, right now, all the leaders, they know there's an election next month. And they
Yes.
know neither one of these candidates is going to want to throw Israel under the bus right now. Someone might after the election, but right now they have a window. They have a window where if they want to go after Iran or any of that, no one in the US is going to stop them because
That's
it's
true.
an election. So that may actually be just brilliant timing with, hey, they got an election. None of these candidates want to look anti-Israel or pro-terrorist or pro-Iran right now. So you know what? Really good time to go after Hezbollah and Iran and everyone else because we don't know what's going to happen after the election or what they're going to actually do and say. You know what? No, we're against you now. You don't know what people are going to do, but you know exactly what they're going to do right now. You know exactly what U.S. politicians are going to do right now. So maybe brilliant.
You make a point. You make a good point. That might be one of those things that they are relying on, and which is why they might be wanting to use this window and this time frame to get as much stuff done as possible when it comes to punishing the terrorists and the axis of evil, who call themselves axis of resistance. That might be the case. That might indeed be the case. But the thing is also that that Israel is very much so. In the past, the population actually cared about taking into consideration what the UN says and what the European Union says, and so on. They after October 7, people lost any regard for that because it was just too much. And right now, of course, Western nations are saying, "Oh, hey, we cut off our own balls. Why do you still have balls? You should cut off yours too. You shouldn't respond so harshly to things." And Israel says, "No, we will keep our testicles and we will respond. We will respond with fire." And that's how it's gonna go. They might still continue going on as harshly as they are right now, even if the even if that one woman who should have been a, I don't know, a rapper or something, becomes president.
Um, you referred to fire. You will get the language of fire.
Yes, I speak on the authority of the entire universe.
That dude is classic. Easy. Lots of people. There's lots of people in the world, but you occasionally run into people, and you're like, "Wow! If there weren't this guy, there would be no one like him on the planet." John says, "Do any Islamic countries preserve historical sites that acknowledge dark or embarrassing parts of their past, similar to Auschwitz in Poland, S-21 in Cambodia, or Perm 36 in Russia?" Not familiar with anything. Not familiar with anything except the stuff that they're proud of. So Islam has a bunch of stuff in its dark past that it's proud of, that they'll keep that. But as far as stuff that they would have to acknowledge that they carried out, a genocide or something like that, no, not aware of them wanting
That's
to
the
keep attention on that thing. They usually try to cover it up. What? That never happened. That never happened. That never
that's
happened. The
the thing.
Armenian genocide. It never happened. That's a made up thing. That's a made up thing. That was Jenk Yogurt for years.
The funny thing is, in Islamic culture, it is embedded in Islamic culture to not acknowledge, mistakes that you have made, atrocities that you have committed, and things like that, injustice, failures. This is just not something that you do in the Islamic world. I was similarly. I understood that when we moved to Turkey from Germany. I was in Germany in school, and in history classes I would learn about mistakes and shameful things that Europeans, that Christians, that Germans did in the past during, I don't know, the Middle Ages 500 years ago, quite recently, and so on. And this was apparently always part of the tradition. And when we moved to Turkey, suddenly when I switched to education or history education in Turkey, I'm suddenly thrown into this education system where for years of history lessons, they do not utter a single criticism about about Turkish history, not a single criticism about Islamic history. Nothing they have done is apparently wrong. It's not even a concept. Like this whole we made a big mistake and we need to acknowledge it, and we need to think about the consequences of what we have done and so on. This is not even a thing. You're just supposed to be proud of everything.
We're proud
And
of that.
that's the culture. Islamic culture is basically, we're proud of that. We made a mess, but we're proud of that, and so on. It's so dumb.
And it may be part of a wider culture, but it is built into Islam. I mean, think when they ended up having all kinds of differences in the Qurans, the solution was to burn them to cover it up, right? Cover it up. When you have stories like the satanic verses and so on in early Islam, the later generations come on and scrub their sources of that stuff. And so we don't want the embarrassing stuff. We don't want any of this embarrassing stuff. We want to scrub it out and so on. So, yeah. Hey, did you see, so 12 hours ago, Visegrad posted, yesterday shots were fired at the Israeli embassy in Stockholm, Sweden. Today, 2 bombs exploded in front of the Israeli embassy in Copenhagen. Any ideas on why Scandinavians have become so violent suddenly? It is weird.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. Suddenly, these very, very peaceful people, happiest countries in the world, suddenly, for some reason, these guys just start attacking Jewish things.
Yeah, we have no idea why. They just like wake up one day and become really, really hostile towards Jews. The world may never
Yeah.
understand. The world may never understand why. All right, we got some more super chats, but let's jump into
Danish police detain 3 people after blasts near Israel embassy. Okay, yeah.
What's crazy is if you look at the pictures of the police hauling these guys, they have them completely wrapped head to toe, beyond burqa level. Like you can't see anything about any features of these guys. They have them completely covered head to toe as they're escorting them and so on. It's like, yeah, what are you guys trying to, why are you so intent on covering for whoever these terrorists are?
Well, until we know who these people were, I will assume that these were Christian, Danish, white guys who are just very, very angry at.
Don't leave out Mormons, man. They could be Mormons.
Yeah, probably too. The Mormons or atheists. It's just so just those things. Totally native Danish guys who were just angry at Jews and Israel and who decided to blow something up. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, and sadly, this is a time when it could be all kinds of different groups. It could be someone on the far left. It could be someone on the far right. It could be a jihadi. Could be anyone. Weird stuff. All right, let's go ahead. So the other day we watched Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to the UN, and he said some things, some very hurtful things. Netanyahu said some very hurtful things about the UN, but we can happily say that we have Cenk Uygur responding.
Guys, so first of all, they should kick him out immediately. They should not him. Israel should be kicked out of the United Nations immediately. I mean, if somebody came to my house and said, "This is a house of darkness and you are filled with hate," I'd be like, "Get the hell out of my house." You grab him by the scruff of his neck and throw his ass out. And say, "I dare you to set 1 foot in here and see what happens with a long goddamn arm." What do we say?
Pause. This is exactly what I just talked about.
We're just talking about this.
This guy is very much in his personality, in his attitudes, in his responses, has that element of from the Muslim culture, the Islamic culture,
Turkish.
the
Turkish.
culture,
Yeah, there you go.
Turkish culture. This whole thing. If you come to my house and criticize me, then I will say, "Get the hell out of here, never come back again." This is exactly the attitude. Okay, you are in the West. You should probably know that this is usually not how you act. In the West, you don't just say, "Oh, you criticize me. You said something negative. You said something negative about me. You accused me of not keeping my standards, not having proper values. You accuse me of hypocrisy. Well, I'm gonna slap you and kick you out of here." This is not an attitude that you have in civilized, functioning societies.
And the analogy just sucks, right? Like, I would agree with him. If you like come over to my house and all you do is like complain, this house sucks, everything here sucks, this is all evil, this is bad. I'll be like, get out of here. Get out. There's the door right there, moron, right? Yeah, that's my house. That's not what the United Nations is not your house, dude. Yeah. It's supposed to be exactly what it sounds like. The nations of the world all gathering together with representatives and so on to get together and make resolutions and so on for the benefit of the various nations and so on. And Israel notices, wait a minute, you guys are very, 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 very anti-Israel, and all these atrocities happen, and you might say, oh yeah, we condemn that, but you don't really condemn all the stuff from the terrorists and so on. And so the United Nations is exactly the sort of place where you would call out hypocrisy and evil and so on. That's not the same thing as going into Cenk's house and saying, you're a loser. Look at Cenk. I'm over at his house. He's a loser. He's a dope and a loser. What a scumbag. It's not the same thing, Cenk.
Honestly,
because keep in mind, here would be a better analogy, because he's comparing the United Nations to his house, like Israel is some visitor to this place. No, if you wanted a better analogy, if you wanted a more accurate analogy, Cenk, one of your roommates in your house calls you out for being a terrible person, calls out his other roommates and you for being terrible people who are treating him like garbage. And he says, you guys are treating me like garbage. What is this place? What is this place? I'm sick of this place. You guys treat me like garbage. Israel is part of the United Nations, Cenk. So it's their house too. It's their house too. And they're getting treated pretty terribly in something that is their house too. So fix your analogy. Learn to think. Yeah. But let's go ahead and hear him out. Maybe he has something brilliant in these next 28 seconds.
They're taking insults from this maniac for. The United Nations sits there, okay, sorry. A whole bunch of diplomats walked out, of course. Okay, and second of all, much more importantly, declare Palestine a state right now. That's how Israel came to be from the United Nations.
That's how you do it.
So if the United Nations was good enough to declare Israel a state, obviously they could declare Palestine a state. And every day that they don't, it's actually deeply, deeply racist against the Palestinians.
Racist. Oh my God, this guy.
Hey.
This guy is just a combination of the dumbest aspect of being Turkish and a horrible Western leftist attitude. It's as bad as it gets. You have on the one hand a Turkish mindset, and on the other hand an American leftist mindset. The two come together, and it's just so annoying. You want to just slap it and say, "Hey, get out of here."
Yeah, guys, did you hear that? Every day that the United Nations does not make Gaza a state, it's racist. Like what race? What race is that against? What race? And are people going, we really have to be careful here because of these guys' race. We don't want that race. We don't want that race. What race is that? What race is it, Cenk? Are people of that race not allowed in the UN? Is that why or does it have a whole lot to do with that area being completely under the control of terrorists? Which is it? And if you can't say the answer, that tells us everything we need to know. Okay, so we're going to check out
I want to say something about this thing. Now that we have listened to Fred Flintstone's ranting here about it being racist, that
don't insult Chunk Yogurt by calling him Fred Flintstone, man.
He acts like Fred. Okay, Fred Flintstone is happy guy. This guy is not happy guy. This guy is just angry guy. That's it.
It would be funny
But
if he had a little blonde sidekick named Barney Rubble.
he does look like Fred Flintstone, doesn't he?
A little bit. If I had to compare him
okay.
to someone, that would probably be someone to compare him to.
Looks exactly like it. So Fred just complained about the whole thing, about the whole issue of United Nations giving Israel statehood and not giving Palestine statehood. This is again one of those instances where this guy is either gaslighting us or he doesn't know anything of the history. The United Nations came after the League of Nations, which directly gave the go ahead to establish a state for the Jews, for the Israelis. In 1947 and 1948, the plan was put into motion to partition the land and recognize both countries. One country formed by the Jews and the other country formed by the Arabs. Both countries, so both people had the right to declare their own state, and both of them would then be recognized by the United Nations. Israel took the offer, right? Although they went a little bit fast. They took the offer and declared their state and were recognized. The United States, by the way, was the first country to recognize them. The United Nations, because it was basically part of the deal, recognized them. The other side, the Arab side, did not take the deal, rejected the idea of a separate state, and started fighting against Israel instead, and became part of the surrounding nations, Egypt, Jordan, and so on. It was only 40 years after Israel was declared independent that they came up with the idea to declare a nation of Palestine. And now they're crying about, well, we want to be UN member too. We want to be full UN member too. It's not the same thing, Chunk. It's not the same thing. It is not the same thing, Fred.
AP, I don't mean to correct you. But here's the way I think it happened, according to world-renowned historian Chunk Yogurt. The UN said, hey, we're going to make Israel a state. And the Palestinians said, hey, can we be a state too? And they said, no, you're the wrong race. Get out of here. Dumb Palestinian losers. You're finished. And then they said, please, sir, may we have a state? And they said, no, until you become white or Jewish, you will not have a state.
If you were from Poland like the Jews, you would also be recognized, but you are brown Arabs. This is why we will never give you statehood, while the Jews, who are all from Poland and white as it gets, will be recognized immediately because we are racists. That's how it went.
Yeah, guys, we hope. I mean, we are deliberately sounding like complete idiots when we say that's what happened. That's exactly what Cenk Uyghurt says. That's exactly what he's saying. It's racism. The UN is not allowing Palestinians in because of rampant UN racism. This is a dude who he built his entire career off calling everything racist, right? Oh, that's racist. You disagree with me because that's racist. That's racist. And now it's to the point where it just sounds like idiotic, but he has no plan B. It's like, well, that's what worked. That's what worked all these years. I don't agree with you. I say racist. I call you racist. And now he sounds like a complete idiot. And I don't know what to do, man.
And the whole thing about the United Nations here, what he's saying is, oh, you come here and insult the United Nations. And the United Nations says, okay, they should kick him. Who does he think is in charge of the United Nations? The United Nations has permanent members, 5 of them, that are basically key members that make great decisions and have higher influence than everybody else among those US and 4 other countries. Aside from that, it is basically an assembly of all of the nations coming together. Nobody owns the place. Nobody's in charge of the place.
Except Jake owns the place because he's gonna be president of the United States, and after he's president of the United States, then we're all gonna make him president of the world because he's so good at leading and so sane, so absolutely perfectly sane.
Alhamdulillah. Nations have the influence depending on what kind of influence they actually practically in the world have, which is why Israel, despite being so hated because of all the Islamic nations and others, has significant influence because they have significant power, which they build. Maybe the other side, maybe the others should also focus a little bit more on building and less on killing and destroying things.
See, you're sounding like a racist now to Cenk, man. You sounded like a racist, man. What's wrong with you? Oh, this race is this, but this race is all evil. Come on, man. Follow up from Ein Berliner mit Berliner. D Wood. You didn't read my full message. Hey guys, first super chat here, and then you continue. But let us celebrate unity of all critics of Islam. And finally, I'm watching live. Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess I didn't finish that. It was about German Unification Day. But let's celebrate unity of all critics of Islam. That's not going to work because critics of Islam are not united. They can be very divided, and that's an issue I've seen many times over the years because these sort of people, and you guys don't see it all. I see things that happen behind the scenes among critics of Islam who, people who are like going to rallies and stuff like that and speaking and so on. And afterwards, they really have a problem getting along. And it's because it's only a certain kind of people who can take being called racist and Islamophobe and bigots, it tends to be an aggressive sort of people, right? Like, oh, you're going to call me? Oh, I'm coming after you even harder, right? Those tend to be the people who last. If you have any sort of weakness, you'll get weeded out over time. And so you end up with a collection of people who are very aggressive, who don't back down under any circumstances. Guess what? Those people will eventually have a disagreement over something. And then, okay, let's, we're not going to the same rallies anymore, or we'll go to the same rally. I'll speak, you speak, but you stay as far away from me as possible, and so on. So, yep, that is something. But guess what? They don't have to work together. You know, focus on what you're trying to accomplish. Focus on what you're trying to accomplish.
I have an issue with somebody here in the chat by the name of Momo1 who says Christians destroyed the temple. It doesn't have any value to them. What are you talking about?
What? Yeah, wait. The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire was thoroughly pagan.
Yeah.
Destroyed the temple.
Christians most likely in the beginnings participated around the temple in worship and were also going to synagogues for a significant amount of time. The Christians were going to the Jewish synagogues and were still, conducting their worship there and also preaching to others and so on. It was the Roman Empire that was not Christian, that was pagan, which destroyed the temple. And after that, things went a little bit bad. That's what happened. Christians have nothing to do with this. In fact, Christians didn't even build anything on top of the Temple Mount. They basically, when the Romans later took it and built a temple, which they later destroyed after conversion to Christianity, Christians didn't do anything to the Temple Mount until the Muslims came along and built their own abomination on there. Alhamdulillah.
More racist nonsense from AP.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take two more real quick and then jump into our boy. If we heard from Cenk, we got to hear Douglas Murray talking about Cenk with Cenk. Omar says, Iran missiles was successful in killing one person in Palestine. Many shot down by Jordan, U.S., U.K., and Israel. We just said this. You had a reputation as being powerful. As soon as you fire missiles and they don't work, you just lost that reputation. Everyone thinks you're a joke. What are you, stupid? It's like you have this big, 6'6" guy walking around. Everyone's scared of him and everyone's like, "Oh no, man, that's a tough guy." Well, I mean, there's other tough guys over here, but I mean, he's the local tough guy, man. Don't want to mess with him. And then he goes, "Oh, I will show you how tough I am. I will throw a punch." And it's like he misses and accidentally hits himself in the face and stuff. You're like, whoa, people are scared of this guy? What the heck?
Alhamdulillah.
Oh, and let's see. Abraham says, if you guys ever come to Australia, let me be your guide to the world's biggest open-air prison. Yes, as everyone knows, Australia is populated entirely by criminals and their descendants. And so the legitimate world's largest open-air prison, Australia.
Well, I would come there for the kangaroos, but then why would I want to go to Mars? When there are habitable places on the rest of the planet.
Those kangaroos will kick the crap out of you, man.
I know.
And koala bears will rip your eyeballs right out of your sockets.
I hope so.
And all the Australians will steal all your stuff.
Alhamdulillah.
Because they're criminals. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So here we have Douglas Murray and Cenk. And Douglas is going to share his thoughts on... It seemed only fair. Cenk got to share his thoughts about Netanyahu and Israel, saying Israel should be expelled and Gaza should be given the status of a nation. And if you don't, it's because you're racist against Gazans. And here we have Douglas Murray sharing what he thinks about our good friend, Cenk Yogurt.
I mean, your other guest, I mean, I don't know what kind of a creature he is. He's a kind of low-grade thug, as far as I can see. He's listened to nothing I've said.
Yeah, I know, because I'm Muslim. That's what you call all
Did you hear what he said? What? He just said, because I'm Muslim. I thought Cenk is an atheist. Isn't he an atheist or something like that? An agnostic or atheist or something like that?
Well, here's the thing. He is the only person from whom I have ever heard, I'm Muslim. I don't believe I'm an atheist, but I'm a Muslim still. Because, and when he was asked, what are you talking about? Why would you still identify as a Muslim if you're an atheist? He said, oh, I have Jewish friends who also, are atheists, but they still identify as Jewish. And just like them, I am also an atheist, but I identify as a Muslim. Bro, you don't understand what is going on when Jewish people say, I am an atheist, but I'm still a Jew. It's not the same thing as in Islam, because unlike Judaism, you don't have this entire idea in Islam. In Islam, you are part of it when you believe in it, and when you stop believing in it, you are no longer part of it. That's not the case with Judaism. Judaism never really was like that. The guy doesn't get it. He doesn't understand anything at all that is out there in the world.
Yeah, it's really, really dumb. It's like if you said, I'm an atheist, but I'm still Turkish, I would understand exactly what you mean. Like, even if you said, okay, I live in the U.S., but I'm still Turkish, I would know what you mean. I'm an atheist living in the United States, a U.S. citizen, and I'm Turkish. All of that would make sense. Muslim means one who submits, and in its religious context means one who submits to Allah by mindlessly obeying everything Muhammad says. Do you do that? No. Are you a Muslim? No. Can you be an atheist and be a Muslim? No. Kind of a requirement if you want to submit to Allah, kind of a requirement to believe in Allah. Why does he still cling to being a Muslim? For this purpose, so he can pull it out. Oh, this guy only disagrees with me because I'm a Muslim. He's attacking me for being a Muslim. What did he say when he was talking about the United Nations? Oh, if they don't bring in Gaza as a nation, it's a racist. They're racist. Hey, why does Douglas Murray think you're a terrible person and you have terrible views? It's because I'm a Muslim. It's because I'm a Muslim. It's the first words out of his mouth. Let's back this up real quick. What a dope, man. How does anyone? You pointed out, man. They're just stupid people in the world. I was thinking, how does anyone follow this guy? But there are people like that.
I mean, your other guest, I mean, I don't know what kind of a creature he is. He's a kind of low-grade thug, as far as I can see. He's listened to nothing I've said.
Yeah, I know, because I'm Muslim. That's what you call all Muslims.
I'll tell you. No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. I just think that you're very...
He just called him racist. He said, because I'm Muslim, you're racist.
Listen to nothing I've said.
Yeah, I know, because I'm Muslim. That's what you call all Muslims.
I'll tell you. No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. I just think that I think you're just a very low-rent racist. But anyway, let me just get on to it. You say first of all, I don't care about the death of Palestinian children. Yes, I do care. I care very deeply about it. But I also know that the responsibility for their deaths lies on Hamas, which has misgoverned their society for the last 16 years and now has been leading the country into being in a war with Israel. So yes, it's on Hamas this. As for seeing wars, by the way, I just mentioned about seeing wars because as far as I can see, you're very ill-traveled as well as rather ill-lettered and ill...
It's like an endless barrage of insults. You're ill-traveled and ill-lettered.
You should just never get into a disagreement or a fight or hostilities with Douglas Murray.
Why are you so ill-traveled? Let me back that up because I like that. You're so ill-traveled.
As for seeing wars, by the way,
this guy will kill you with his. He will kill you with his words and his wit.
Wait, are you saying he has better words than Chunk Yogurt here?
Yeah.
No, they're racist. They're racist. Oh no, now you say it. Oh, I don't speak good because I'm Muslim. You say because I'm Muslim, I don't speak good. That's not true. That's not true.
It's such a cheap cop out. You fail at something, you're horrible, you don't understand, and when somebody tells you, you just don't understand what's going on. Oh, you're saying that because I'm Muslim. You say that because you're racist. Shut up, man.
I just mentioned about seeing wars because as far as I can see, you're very ill-traveled as well as rather ill-lettered and ill-spoken.
And ill-spoken, dude. It reminds me of it's completely different from, but it reminds me of Mossab, that he'll just zero in on some sick burn. But it's Douglas Murray, so he does it in a completely different way, but just you're ill-traveled and ill-lettered and ill-spoken. It's like everything you can... Oh, man. But, I mean, you could tell it's just like ripping Chunk apart because I want to be well-traveled and well-lettered and well-spoken. And this guy just said I'm not. Let me call him racist. That's all I know how to do. Proving everything he said is just correct.
I mentioned that I cover wars and go to wars because I happen to think myself that it's worth seeing things with your own eyes, including things that you don't particularly like, but you report the truth. I don't know if you ever even leave your own bedroom. And now
Gosh, man. Oh, boy. I travel the world and go where the wars are because I believe it's important to see them and understand what I'm talking about. I don't know if you leave your own bedroom. Oh, boy.
Tell already that you don't because you've already said something that demonstrates you know nothing about this conflict. You have just demonstrated it in the following terms. You said that this is why we need to push for a two-state solution and give legitimacy to the Palestinian Authority. I'll tell you something you don't know because I guess you spent no time in the West Bank, have you? I'll tell you something you probably don't know. The Palestinian Authority, Fatah, celebrated the 7th of October massacres. I'll give you another fact which demonstrates you know nothing about this and clearly haven't ever...
So he's responding to Cenk saying, well, so what? So what? You got a problem with Hamas? You got a problem with Hamas? Why the West Bank? What's the problem with the West Bank? They can have their nation. Why? Why? It's racist. You're racist.
Visited any Palestinians in the West Bank as I have. If there was an election tomorrow in the West Bank, the reason why there isn't one is because if there was an election tomorrow in the West Bank, Hamas would win. So
yes,
is that correct?
Yes, precisely. Yes, we have polls on that. We have polls on that where the majority, nobody wants to vote for the Palestinian Authority, Fatah. People hate them. The Palestinian people, the West Bank people, they hate the Palestinian Authority. They basically consider it a corrupt to the core organization that does not have the interests of the population in mind, that is a sellout, that is all about stealing everyone's money and so on. This is basically what the idea is. And we have polls which show that if today there was an election and the choices were Fatah and Hamas, the majority would vote for Hamas. Nobody wants to vote for Fatah. This just shows the mindset of this, shows how much these people are in love with Hamas and Islamic terrorism.
But Cenk says that the only possible explanation for not declaring them their own separate sovereign nation right now is racism.
Racist is
racist.
Your idea of a two-state solution, I'm afraid you are so out of date, and you really should leave your bedroom. Because in this region, nobody thinks that there is a two-state solution on the table because there is not a viable negotiating partner. But I just want to make one other main point. You have gone on and on tonight, throwing accusations out against the Jewish state, against me. It's the sort of thing you do. I know you're a sort of online pugilist and think you can run for office, and good luck with that. But I'd just like to point out that you only really get animated if the Jews are involved. And I can tell that for the following reason. I mean, your surname's Uyghur, isn't it? 1 million Uyghur Muslims in China have been put in
Oh, look, he says you only get animated. He says you only get animated if Jews are involved. It's an important critique. He's going to deny it. No, what are you talking about? I condemned it. I condemned the genocide in China. I did it.
If the Jews are involved. And I can tell that for the following reason. I mean, but I'd just like to point out that you only really get animated if the Jews are involved. And I can tell that for the following reason. I mean, your surname's Uyghur, isn't it? 1 million Uyghur Muslims in China have been put in concentration camps in the last decade. And people of your ilk never really care about that, do you? Because it's not the Jews doing it, it's the Chinese Communist Party. At the moment, 1 million people who are in Pakistan at the moment, who are your fellow Muslims and who happen to be Afghan, and I don't think you care about them, do you? 1 million Afghans are currently being forcibly deported from Pakistan to Afghanistan. You don't care about that. You're not riled up about that. You're not riled.
To be clear, it's not just him. It's like the entire global media, which again, ironically, is, according to these same guys, controlled by the Jews. So the Jews control the media, and the media constantly focuses on only things that make Israel look bad, and don't focus on anything else that's going on in the entire world. I mean, Christians are being massacred in places like Nigeria. You have the what's going on with the Uyghurs in China. You have stuff going on all over the planet. No one ever cares. If they do, it's kind of half-hearted. It's like you show up outside the Chinese embassy, make your little YouTube video, we condemn this, and then you move on and you go right back to blasting away at Jews.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
Up about what the Janjaweed are currently doing in Sudan, where thousands and thousands of people are being attacked by the Islamist militia there. You don't care about any of that. You get exercised and you rile up what little base you have of malcontents because you're riled up when the Jews do anything.
All right,
it's
Cenk,
perfectly obvious.
Okay, Cenk, your response.
Yeah.
That's a lie! That's a lie! Me love everybody! Me love everybody! You racist! You anti-Muslim!
He killed him. There's one thing that I want to point out. He actually made a point there, and although he didn't further elaborate on it because he pretty much said enough and he was roasting him. So I'm glad he did that. Was that he said that there is no two-state solution on the table because there is no negotiating partner. This is a fact that people really need to think about when they say, "Oh, Israel should just give the Palestinians their own state. They should just give them their own state. What are they waiting for?" How exactly do you imagine that to happen? Israel can't just say, "Okay." Even if Israel was stupid enough and generous enough to say, "You know what? Okay, despite everything that happened, we are happy to now give the Palestinians their own state and recognize it." How exactly would that happen? They couldn't even do it. Israel could not even do it because you have, on the one hand, the Fatah party ruling the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority, and they have established a totally totalitarian system. They don't want to allow anyone else to take the rule away from them, and they in fact they do these things. They spy in their own society. There is no freedom. They kidnap people and torture them. Who are suspected of working for Hamas or others, and so on. On the other hand, in Gaza, you have Hamas in charge, and the others are banned from being in charge. which side exactly do you give statehood to? If you give statehood to one side, you are not giving it to the other side. The other side is still illegitimate. If you gave it to both of them, they would start fighting each other. They wouldn't be one Palestinian state. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And this is the entire problem with Islamist societies and Islamist parties, where Israel gave them the right to be autonomous and to sort things out. And what did they do? The first thing they did was to start fighting each other and killing each other.
Let's go ahead and check with Israel Katz and see if we can get Chunk Yogurt declared a persona non grata in Israel, so we don't ever have to see his dumb face if he tries to become a bit less ill-traveled. I wanted to take a couple super chats here because some of them are about Cenk here, the third one down. Dawa kind of reminds me of the ancient sophists. It actually does. The sophists are the most cultures, most philosophies and so on, until very recently, they believed in objective morality. The sophists were the exception in the ancient world. They were relativists. And that actually made sense business-wise because they were trained debaters who were just debaters for hire. If you wanted to, build a road, get a road built by the city, by your house or something like that, you sent in this person to argue your case for you. If you're going to be, they're basically like lawyers, but it didn't matter which side. And they were trained to argue either side. So you could toss them into any situation. They could argue either way. So it's interesting because it's actually in their interest. It's in their interest if there is no real right or wrong. If there is no real right or wrong, it's all about whoever just wins the argument, right? Like whoever sounds better. That is like Dawa, right? As long as you sound stronger and more confident or something like that. But what's weird is, in Islam, there's a slightly different emphasis. It's whatever supports Islam, whether true or false, is good. So they have an added dimension where everything is geared towards Islam. But you're right in the sense that they will lie or kill or anything bad in a heartbeat as long as it is in the service of something else. But yeah, it's more about your rhetoric and so on than any sort of substance, and so they do have that similarity with the sophists.
But the thing is, the first thing that I would disagree with is, the sophists were known to be good debaters, and because they are good at debating, but they're not actually arguing for the truth or necessarily for the truth. You can't really say the same thing about Muslims. They make your brain melt by being horrible with their logic and their debates.
Yeah, guys. So the sophists were some of the early nemeses of people like Plato and Aristotle. We have in some of the dialogues of Plato, we have Socrates arguing with the sophists. Not sure if that actually happened because that's all Plato was sort of making certain things up to illustrate various points and so on. But anyway, I'm Berliner mit Berliner says, recently I've read Jerusalem, Israel is the center of the earth. Ezekiel 5:5 and 38:12 are the proof you see. David Wood, don't sing the old anthem, try the new one. Is there a new anthem?
From what?
From Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles.
Yeah, you don't sing the first two verses. You only sing the last verse in Deutschland.
Oh, okay.
Which was Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit für das deutsche Vaterland. Danach lasst uns alle streben. Anyway.
Okay, so here's the important.
But can we say, David, just to make this clear, because I think this kind of it is kind of unclear what we exactly meant with the whole issue of debating and sophists and sophistry and all. Can we say that eventually the sophists were master debaters?
It's already been said. Someone already posted that comment. Why you want to steal someone else?
That's why. I saw it. That's why I'm asking.
Here we have Freddie A saying,
Can we say that or not?
Yes, they were master debaters.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Freddie A says, Guy needs another cup of warm brown gravy to ease that mood.
He does.
Freddie A., do you have any idea how racist that is, talking to this Turkish guy and talking about brown gravy? Why'd you emphasize that? Why not white gravy? Yeah, you're proving his point exactly. Back to chunk yogurt.
Okay, first of all, my last name is Uyghur. We're named after the Uyghur Turks in China. And have we talked about that on the Young Turks?
I thought you'd spoken up then.
Yes. Yes.
Did you hear what he just said? He goes, I'm named after them. I'm named after them. He goes, yeah, I'd have thought you'd have spoken up then.
Isn't this so stupid?
I can't get their 2 seconds of chunk yogurt talking.
Douglas Murray just said, your last name is Uyghur. You don't seem to care about the Uyghurs. And Jenks responds is, well, first off, my last name is Uyghur.
I'll prove you wrong.
Are you dumb?
He just said it. And then he burns you up anyway. Oh, boy. Here we go.
We've talked about it endlessly, but you don't know that, and you don't watch the show.
Shame nobody watches your show.
So
nobody does watch your show.
Yeah, well,
guys, there's a knack for insulting people in the place it hurts them most, right? Douglas Murray and Masab, they both have a way of like, what is going to zero in and hurt this person most? What little comment is going to hurt this person most, given what this person values? And they go right for that. But let's go back slightly because that was just funny.
We've talked about it endlessly, but you don't know that, and you don't watch the show.
Shame nobody watches your show.
So
nobody does watch your show.
Yeah, well, okay, again, you're interrupting me when I was kind enough to let you go on with your mad ramblings. So how nobody watches the show. We have 5 billion views.
He's go, mad ramblings? Is it because I'm white? Is it because I'm white that you said my ramblings are mad? Are you saying all white people are mad?
A year. I don't know what piddling outfit you're on, or what little Substack or whatever the hell you write on. So
look at his face. He's talking about all his views, and Douglas Murray goes, wow, everyone on earth.
How nobody watches the show. We have 5 billion views a year. I don't know what piddling outfit you're on, or what little Substack or whatever the hell you write on. So the reason we're incredibly popular is we fight for all. We fight for shut up. We fight for all innocent civilians. So yes, we've covered all of those conflicts. Yes, I'm against fundamentalist Islam, no question about it. I'm against fundamentalist religions of all kind. In terms of every right-wing supporter of Israel, their only tactic is, hey, don't look at the 8,000 murdered children. Don't look at the 6,400 murdered women. Don't look at the fact that all the hospitals in northern Gaza have been shut down. Don't look at the fact that 4 out of 5 people in northern Gaza are starving right now, and half of the people in southern Gaza are starving. Instead, anti-Semite. Now, wait.
Did you just catch that?
They were starving.
No, he just said, oh, all you ever say is anti-Semite. Dude, this is the guy who, Islamophobe, racist. That's his response to everything. Anytime you criticize any stupid, insane thing, he says, that's because I'm Muslim. You're an Islamophobe. You're a racist. You don't agree with me. You racist. And then he's responding to Douglas Murray, and he's like, oh, anything that gets brought up, you say anti-Semite. That's your answer for everything. Anti-Semite.
That's funny.
And I have to say, I mean, Cenk is proving everything Douglas Murray said is correct, because Cenk's saying, no, we care about everybody. We care about all these things. Douglas Murray's accusation was you only become animated over these things when it involves Jews. In other words, that's something that we see over and over again. You'll have people say, it was the same thing after Muslim terrorist attacks back in the day. You'd have a terrorist attack, and every Muslim organization would come out and say, we condemn this terrorist attack, and we say that it has nothing to do with our religion. And let's all just make sure that this doesn't lead to a backlash against Muslims. And so that's what they would say after terrorist attacks carried out in the name of Allah, slaughters a bunch of random people. You toss Israel into that, and suddenly they're charging through the streets. This is what I'm talking. That's when you get animated, right? That's when you get animated. That's when you're ready to erupt. Something that involves Jews. And that was the point that Douglas Murray was pointing out with Cenk there. You can say, yes, not saying you don't say, we condemn what's happening in China with the Uyghurs there. We condemn that. Yeah, you might say that. If it involved Jews, you would be behaving in a very, very, very different way.
That's what they do.
I just told you how much I want peace and security for Israel, how much I hated what happened on October 7th. What you don't know is I started the Young Turks with 2 Jewish friends. And so the whole program is both Jews and Muslims. You know nothing. You know.
Did you see that? They both departed, didn't they? So Cenk's defense is he started the Young Turks with 2 Jews, and therefore he's not an anti-Semite. And Douglas Murray points out, I didn't say you're an anti-Semite.
Because I started the Young Turks with 2 Jewish friends.
And
so the whole program is both Jews and Muslims. You know nothing. You know nothing. I have Jewish family and friends. Why in the world, God, as they go to Israel, I want them to be safe, okay? So I have shown empathy for all civilians throughout everything I have ever done. But all you have is hatred. Oh, he's an anti-Semite. Kill the Muslims. Kill the Palestinians. And once we kill them, by the way, we'll blame them for it. Israel had to murder all those babies in Palestine because Hamas made us do it. Then why are you listening to Hamas? Why are you letting Hamas drive your agenda? Well, you don't have to kill those civilians. It's a mass assassination factory.
It's so funny.
Now you know.
You can see in Douglas's face that that he is aware that Cenk is making no sense at all with his response there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to you don't have to give a serious response to that. Let's see. Ethan here says, Cenk, my great grandfather owned Jews. I'm not racist.
It's basically the whole thing, the joke of I have a black friend, I can't be a racist.
Yeah, guys. Like in your mind, that may make perfect sense because people can't read your mind, and so in your mind, like, what are you talking about, man? My best friend's black. How are you gonna call me a racist? Well, the reason that's not a good defense against being a racist is you even have racists who are like, yeah, he wanted the good ones. I can't be friends with most of them, but he wanted a good one. You can still be racist and think this guy's like one of the good ones and stuff. That's why it doesn't work there. It's like, what are you talking about? Just because I rail against Israel all day, every day, and that's all I talk about is the Jews. I started the Young Turks with 2 Jews who left. Yeah, so that proves that I'm a good guy.
Strictly speaking, anti-Semitism, just like racism here, would be, in terms of taking the accusation as it is, it would not be a rational thing. You have, you are against something Jewish. You have a hostility against the Jewish culture and Jewish existence, Jewish appearance, whatever it is, and you have a severe bias toward it. At the same time, you might meet a Jewish person and think, "Wow, what a nice person! What a nice person! What a person to do business with! I really like this guy." That still doesn't really change your stance on, in general, despising Jews and Jewish ambitions and so on.
Yeah, see, he wanted the good ones.
It's not a good defense. It doesn't work. It's stupid.
And they actually do that a lot at the they'll have Jews who show up to the Free Palestine rally and are saying, yes, we condemn the actions of Israel, and say, see, these are the good ones. They're the good ones. See, we don't hate Jews. These are the good ones. They're the good ones. We like the good ones.
You know what's funny? It's actually Jake Shields was one of those people who actually months ago did the very same thing about Hitler and the Nazis and black people. Like, it's one thing to talk about Jews right now, but he actually, as he was beginning his neo-Nazi road, he started claiming that the Nazis, Nazi Germany and Hitler, were very good to black people, and the proof for him was that, what was that guy's name? That one, the one black athlete who went to the Olympics.
Jesse Owens?
Germany. Yeah. That he was treated well.
Hitler wouldn't go out and present him the medal. Hitler was supposed to present the medals.
Yeah, there is a false report that Hitler personally went there and greeted him and was nice to him, and all that didn't actually happen. He only from the distance greeted every athlete. That's all that happened. But he actually used that argument that the Nazis and Hitler were good to black people, contrary to popular belief, and his proof is that Hitler was nice to that athlete. This is the idea that these people have,
and it's complete nonsense. And
it's so stupid.
It's actually funny because this was supposed to be the Olympics. The 1936 Olympics was supposed to be the display of Hitler's master race and what they could do and how they were going to destroy everyone else. And then Jesse Owens got 4 gold medals, just burnt them up in every event. And then Hitler got mad and wouldn't even go out and give him his medals. Pretty funny. Ha ha! In your face, Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens destroyed Nazi Germany before Nazi Germany got destroyed by everyone else.
Owens humiliates Hitler.
He was the original humiliator of the Nazis. Forbes breaking news 2 weeks ago titled, "We cannot let this go," about the UN attempting to expand UN Secretary General powers. Seen it? Important. I have not seen it, but I would have a serious problem with anyone expanding the powers of terrible, awful people.
Gotta look at the
Deeply, deeply racist. I am mewing right now. Mm-hmm. Maroney says, Chunky yogurt looks like Spanky. You don't even know who Spanky was because you're not old enough. Cenk looks... Why is everyone talking about Cenk here? Cenk looks like Jabba the Hutt with someone heavier than himself standing on his slimy tail. Israel should have sent him one of these therapeutical pagers. Come on now. The worst thing you can do to Cenk is just keep bringing him on Piers Morgan and letting him talk. That's all you need to do. Utter humiliation. You do not need to hurt this guy in any way. Just let him talk. Just let him talk all day long. Scary thing is Democrats would vote for him. Who? Chunk Yogurt? I don't think so. I don't think anyone likes him. Cenk claims to be a Muslim atheist. Lol. Yeah, I know. It is funny, isn't it? Yabba dabba Jew. Hey, that could be the new catchphrase for Cenk. Yabba dabba Jew. Please, more boom boom room. Maybe Biden or AP as Kamala Harris imitating her laughter. Also love Islamicize me. I'm glad not all Turks. I'm glad not all Turks are like Cenk. Love AP. Cenk, the ill-lettered prophet yogurt. Why is everyone making fun of Cenk? Imagine the smell in Cenk's bedroom. What's wrong with everyone, man? He can't help it. He loves the falafel experience. Maybe you went to get some falafel and you're blown away by the Palestinian experience. Iran is like the Jim Croce songs about tough guys getting taken down. Leroy Brown, Jim. Their only strength is money. Their last attack was weak also. Yeah, that happened in both Bad Leroy Brown and You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Jim got taken out by Slim at the end of the song. Primus says, Douglas has been all over the world, right in the middle of conflicts. Cenk has only been far as the 7-Eleven to grab an extra large Slurpee. Everyone's so mean to Cenk. Mo would love one of Diddy's parties. That's true. Hey, we should cover the Diddy stuff, but compare it with Muhammad. Wouldn't that be good? Because I'm like, I don't really care what's going on with the P. Diddy stuff. We should actually cover it, go through the story, but be comparing it with stories of Muhammad. That might be dope.
We should play the Tupac song, Hit 'Em Up.
The sophists were master debaters. Hey, why'd you steal AP's joke?
Why are you stealing my joke, man? What is this?
Yeah, why are you stealing his joke? Paulo says, Du hast mich.
That's Rammstein.
4 out of every 5 are starving because Chunk Yogurt is eating all the food. What's wrong with people, man? What are some good Christianity versus Islam debates to watch? Give me 3 maybe. All I've been seeing have been TikTok clips. Kind of depends on what era you like. If you want something recent, there was the Fresh and Fit debate, the 2-on-2 Fresh and Fit debate. If you want classic stuff, you can go all the way back to Josh McDowell versus Ahmed Deedat, where Josh McDowell just crushed him, and then Ahmed Deedat. I know the behind the scenes stuff, but Ahmed Deedat actually threatened him afterwards and said, "Leave here, and if you ever come back, something's going to happen to you." Also know the long time story that Ahmed Deedat's one of his daughters said that the last book he asked for, because he was paralyzed for a while, but the last book he asked for was Josh McDowell's More Than a Carpenter. Interesting stuff. So there's that. You have William Lane Craig had some good debates against Shabir Ali and Jamal Badawi and stuff. So as far as 3, yeah, I don't know. There's a ton of good debates out there. Ton of good debates. Ricky Bobby says, I've had the free version of Logos for 15 years, almost bought it every time it was on sale. I didn't have peace about it. I'm glad I waited. Yeah, because on sale on sale for a long time, they would give 25% off. That would be their big sale. And now, because it's the last chance to do it, 51% off. That is crazy. Let's see, you said... So I got the platinum, and later that night lost my peace about it because I didn't go ahead and get diamond. Then they extended the time. Thank you. That's cool. That is some good stuff to go with. Ricky Bobby, make sure you watch the tutorials. You will get way more out of the app if you watch the tutorials.
What's your channel called again?
Who?
Your channel?
Apologetics Roadshow. You don't know what my channel's called?
Oh, okay.
Abraham Harb says, I'm certain Doug is the kid who roasted the prophet. Oh, you remember that kid? He's saying Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray was that kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
Ibn Sayyid was Douglas Murray.
Goat Hub says, I don't hate Turks. I like AP and Hatun. They the good ones. I don't hate Turks. I like AP and Hatun. They the good ones.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Reports out that 3 weeks ago, the IDF to some random jihadi, tell me where is Nasrullah, and I give you and your buddies some free pagers. What a deal. It would be funny if they had 2 birds with 1 stone. They're like, hey, look, we know you want pagers. You know you want pagers. We'll give you thousands of free pagers. You just tell us where Nasrullah is. And you're like, oh, that's a good deal. We do need lots of pagers. Okay, here's where he's going to be. Take him out. Just give us those pagers. Bad idea, guys. Bad idea. I want to get to more clips, but there's just more stuff about Cenk here before we move on from Cenk. Cenk looks like one of our most returning customers. It's from Goat Hub here. Goat Hub. Michael says, D Wood, thanks for recommending Logos. It's what I do. And guys, it's part of some bigger stuff that you'll be finding out about here in the near future. Good night. The best video on YouTube is the court case on my channel, Wood versus Winger. Is he a nerd? Better than any debate. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I have an idea what that's about, because we talked about it one day, and Chat GPT or whatever was answering intelligently for a little while, calling Mike Winger a nerd, and then people started programming it to give stupid, terrible answers about me.
This is actually why they changed it. There were complaints about
it's biased.
It was trending. It was
biased
trending.
against D Wood.
Complaints about Mike Winger, and then the management of ChatGPT made adjustments to it. Yeah.
Swiss Apologetic says, mit diesem Superchat schenke ich dir ein Joghurt, du Sitzdisler. Zitzdizla.
Very, very nice.
Zitzdizla. All right, guys, let's go ahead. AP, have you heard of the hero of all heroes, Greta Thunberg?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. This is serious.
She's
And
been
also, and by the way, yes, yeah, good, yeah. What?
she's
Yes.
been defending the environment since she was too young to allow any sort of criticism. You couldn't criticize her back in the day because she was a little girl. And so if you criticize anything she was saying, then you were being mean to a little girl. And so she got put forward as the champion of the environment. So she was sort of the global defender of Mother Earth. And then AOC here in the US was the great defender of Mother Earth.
She saved Mother Earth from being surrounded and taken from us.
Yep. And more recently, she's been blasting away at Israel, screaming free, free Palestine and so on, going to the various protests and so on. And you think, what's the connection? What's the connection? If you want to defend the environment, do that. What are you talking about here? What are you doing here? But now she has made it all make sense, AP. What are you laughing at?
It's so stupid. Like, you defend the environment and then you also stand up for the greatest environment destroyers out there.
She's about to make it make sense, AP. She's about to make it make sense. And here it goes. In your face. Shame on you for doubting her.
In Palestine and all over the world, the fight against colonialism and corporations' destruction of the planet are intrinsically linked. Look at Chevron. Everyone knows that Chevron is one of the world's biggest climate criminals.
Everyone knows, AP, that Chevron is one of the world's biggest climate criminals. Now, you may think, because you have no clue what you're talking about, AP, you may think there's no connection, but you're wrong. Wait for it. Wait for it.
But the oil giant is also fueling Israel's genocide in Palestine.
Chevron is fueling Israel's genocide against Palestine. So you see, it's all connected. It's all connected. You have big oil, and they're destroying the planet, and big oil is, specifically Chevron, literally fueling Israel's genocide. What?
Because of oil, they're fueling with oil the genocide. Is that what?
I don't know, because you could mean that literally, and like they're literally fueling that.
This is literally the weirdest thing I've heard today.
Because you're racist! You're racist against Greta Thunberg!
As Israel bombs hospitals, homes, and schools in Gaza, Chevron supplies them with energy from 2 Israeli-claimed gas fields in the Mediterranean, making millions in the process.
So there you have it. There you have it, AP. Chevron makes fuel, and Israel can't drive around or anything else without fuel. And so it's all connected. It's all connected, AP. So Chevron is providing the fuel that Israel is using for its genocide. You know what else? You know what else? Air. You
know what I'm sick of. You know what I'm sick about.
The IDF is breathing air that they are using to.
The Earth is supporting the genocide. The oceans are supporting the genocide. The water in the world is supporting the genocide. Rivers are supporting this genocide. Major companies around the world selling food, selling fruits, and thereby supporting this genocide.
This makes me want to go throw soup on a Van Gogh painting.
This makes me want to burn down the planet.
Did you know that some Jews eat soup?
What?
This is why we have to boycott Campbell's soup. Because I saw a Jew eating some Campbell's soup once.
Ending Israel's genocide in Gaza and Israeli apartheid is a climate justice issue.
God, these big words there. Climate justice.
Ending the Israeli genocide and apartheid is a climate justice issue.
Climate justice.
It's interesting she finally responded with this incoherent nonsense. But at least she responded, because people, we don't get it. We don't get it. You're the climate girl. Why are you going around free Palestine? Because it is a climate justice issue. You've got Israel here. You've got Israel here, and they're committing genocide over here, but they need gas in their tanks to get there. So it's about climate justice. What's wrong, AP? Come on. It's obvious.
Climate justice. It's climate justice. So climate justice is the stupid term about what is that? Making sure that equal responsibility and equal feeling or experience of climate change or something dumb. What in the world does that have to do with the conflict? I don't even get it.
Which part of they need gas in their cars, AP? True, they also need air, and they need food, and they need all kinds of other things, but you're not getting the point, AP. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Alhamdulillah.
And that's why Israel has to be destroyed in order to protect the environment.
In the name of climate justice, surrender right now.
Do you care about the rainforest? If so, Jews have to be wiped out completely. That's the only way.
You know what?
Free Palestine, as it's the only way to save the planet. What's that?
You know what the Bible says? It says the greatest value is climate justice.
That's true. And if you have to wipe Israel off the map to save the climate, so be it.
Israel is destroying Palestinian lives, but
And the
also
environment.
destroying Palestinian lands and resources through its warfare and industries that pollute and destroy
What resources?
the environment. We cannot.
No, seriously. Like that's Israel too. There's not a lot of natural resources in that area. I mean, Israel has one river, which when you see it, you think that's not a river. Where I come from in West Virginia, they would call that a creek. They would call the Jordan River a creek where I come from. They would not call that a river. They have one lake. They have one big lake. And they turned it into Israel. They turned it into a modern country with almost no natural resources and so on. So I want to know what resources are you even talking about in Gaza? What?
Everybody climate.
Stand by and do nothing.
Last 20
I'm
seconds
joining
here.
Palestinian global calls to boycott Chevron.
There we
Together
go.
we are calling for Chevron to withdraw from its projects with Israel. Join the movement to defend human rights and protect the planet by pledging to boycott Chevron now.
Well, now I know what to do, Greta. Thanks, because I definitely take orders from you, because you're a pillar of all that is good and right and decent in the world.
You know what's so dumb? What's so stupid here? So her priority, that too, but her priority is of course fixing the planet, not doing any fighting related stuff, fixing the planet, focusing on climate change. Because to her, all of these ideas of nationalism and borders and this and that, all of that doesn't matter. What we really need to focus on is fighting climate change. And here is why she, like many others, is completely stupid and has no idea what she's talking about when she then thinks that Free Palestine is a climate justice issue or is a climate change issue, and that Israel is the one preventing justice here. The Palestinian side here, Hamas and other terrorist organizations, the only reason that they are fighting, the only reason that Israel and the other side are fighting, is that the Palestinian side doesn't want to accept the borders as they are. and doesn't want to accept the ideological differences and doesn't want to make peace in the long term. So they have several issues. They have a nationalist issue. It's very ironic. They actually want an ethno state, an ethno-national state. This is one issue that the Palestinians have. They want Islamic dominance and being free from Jewish control. And 3, they simply want to reject any border changes that happened in the past because they lost the war they started, and they want to have more borders and eventually want to take over the entire land. All of this is not necessity. They're not fighting out of necessity. They're fighting because of ideologies. They're fighting because they're choosing to fight. They could stop with those things and instead focus on the climate. If this is so, if the best thing to focus on, if the most important issue to focus on is indeed climate change, if we are to grant Greta's point here for a second, then it is the Palestinian Arab side that is causing the problem here, because they are insisting on their pathetic values and not focusing on climate change. They are keeping the fight going. By oppression, what they mean is that they are not getting what they want. They are not getting their ideal Palestinian state or their ideal Palestinian borders. Israel isn't doing anything. Israel is not doing anything to anybody. Israel's
not doing anything to anybody. They
Yes.
literally blew terrorists' balls off, AP. That's not anything to you? Okay,
Good.
guys, if someone blows your balls off, they haven't done
Good.
anything to you.
Those terrorist balls were polluting the planet.
We saved the environment from terror. Dude, that's how they should be responding to Greta. What are you talking about? We saved the planet from terrorist balls.
If Israel, look, all Israel wants is to coexist. Okay, you can argue about all kinds of different, religious ideals and different national identity ideas and all of that. None of those things are actually the agreed majority opinion of Israelis. The primary thing that Israelis want more than anything else is to simply live in peace. And the greatest thing that they would want from the other side is to be just like them and to focus on building and to live in peace. The only reason Israel is fighting right now is that the other side will just not leave them alone because they're savages. So it is the other side that is causing this entire problem. And when Greta comes here and acts like it is Israel that is causing the problem and is causing climate change problems, then she is just an idiot who doesn't know what she's talking about. She sounds like she's supposed to be intelligent. She's supposed to be well informed. She's supposed to be smart.
She is? I've never gotten that from her.
She is an absolute idiot when it comes to geopolitics and their relation to climate change. Why is anybody listening to this kid?
Well, AP, then I have one question for you. If we can agree that Israel is destroying the environment and the planet by using Chevron fuel in their tanks and vehicles that they're using to carry out their genocide, then can we conclude that Palestinians who go and jump the fence and kill and slaughter as many Israelis as possible are therefore fighting for climate justice?
Yes.
You heard it here, folks.
I don't know what you just asked, but yes.
All right.
I agree with it.
A couple super chats here, and then we're gonna take a look at some stuff from your friend, your good buddy Dan Bilzerian. Dan Bilzerian. Dan Bilzerian. Seems like a slimy dude, but a pretty good guy. I don't know. Jack Ray says, I bought Logos Gold during your show last week, but then I went back and upgraded to Platinum. Good idea. Guys, and just remember, because it's pretty cool. A bunch of people are saying they grabbed Logos when I told them about it. But keep in mind, you got to use it. So that's why I keep saying, watch the tutorials and then start using it. Make it a normal part of your life. It will be very, 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 very cool. Logos is the best. I have a very good package with Pillar commentaries and New Word Bible commentaries. I wanted to write about Muhammad too, but the chat is not allowing it to be sent. Oh, you mean the chat here? Yeah, sometimes it does that. I've mentioned this before. The YouTube algorithm actually picks up on certain things and then doesn't allow people to post certain things, but it seems to be individualized for the person. Like I've had it where I'm trying to post a chat and you have to do it by trial and error if you're trying to post something and it won't go through. And then so you like delete a word and change it to a different word and stuff. You keep doing that and you find out which word they're blocking you for. They're stopping the comment going through. And so I think, oh, using this word, that's what they're blocking. But then I'll see other people using that word. And so it seems like it's the algorithm is coming up with personalized plans for what they will and will not allow people to say. Jesse says, I keep telling you guys, FAR 4 is on the UN payroll. Hey, did you see? I didn't follow the story. I only saw some tweets about it, but it was something like they found the Hamas representative in Lebanon and they caught him and he was working for the UN relief agency.
Yeah, I saw something like that.
Yeah, you have the Hamas representative in Lebanon, and they get him, and they find out he's actually working for the UN, and he's the representative. People are
yeah. No, he was. So the representative turned out to be a direct employee of the UNRWA, which is the United Nations Refugee Agency for the Palestinians. So is directly involved. Yeah, that's what came out.
Interesting.
But probably nothing weird going on. Probably nothing shady. It's just whatever. If you are Palestinian, it's okay to be a terrorist.
Sehr interessant. But if you have a problem with Hamas representatives being in the UN, you're racist. It's the only possible explanation, according to Chunk Yoga.
You are racist.
Heard from someone she has an OnlyFans account called Destroy Mother Earth Hypocrite Inshallah. Greta. How dare you? How dare you? Yet not a word about Hezbollah's ecocide setting fires with bombs in the north of Israel for the past year. Hypocrite. Yeah, what about all those missiles and stuff? And then they start all those rockets and they start fires and they burn up a lot of fuel. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Sar says, you would think she'd love Israel. Have you been to Israeli towns during Shabbat and holidays? Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, Israel's the one that's like cleaning the water and supplying water to other nations in the Middle East and so on.
Which is very based.
Before the UN existed, the League of Nations already acknowledged the right of the Jews to their entire homeland.
Yes.
Is that true or a lie?
It is absolutely true. There is a document that is called the Mandate for Palestine, which was 1920, was formalized 1922. And people just get this wrong because Palestine at that time simply referred to the region Palestine in which the British, together with the League of Nations, called it temporarily, going by the tradition of Romans referring to it as Palestina. And the document clearly says, so the document, you can find it online on different sources, the Avalon Project and others. It says it directly confirms that in the mandate for Palestine, in this entire region, the homeland of the Jews, which is historically tied to them, shall be reconstituted, so shall be reestablished. This is exactly pointed out in that document. Later on, this changed. They started splitting the area and so on.
So you're saying that the League of Nations already acknowledged that
yes,
the Jews can destroy the planet?
Yes. They said Jews have the right to destroy the planet, and we love them for it.
Jack Ray says, Greta should just go ahead and grow a square mustache to go along with her speeches. Does she wave her hands around and shout too?
Did you say Jack racist?
Hey, there is something interesting here. There is something interesting here. AP, I've talked repeatedly, many, many times about what's going on with people psychologically. That when you are not in a state of ongoing conflict, and I don't mean like it doesn't have to be like war or something like that. I mean just in your daily, how you live your life. If you go back to the 80s or 90s generally in Western nations, it can be different in certain areas, but generally, there's not a lot of conflict during your day. You go to work, you go home, you watch TV, hang out, you have dinner with your family and stuff. There's not a ton of conflict. There are times when there's conflict. You get into an argument or something like that, but most of your time, there's not a conflict. Now, all day, every day, it's a conflict of some kind. And that changes your brain, how you think and so on. And long story short, and I'll probably make a video about this at some time. Long story short, when you feel like you're being attacked, you have a strong inclination to join a group for your protection. Doesn't mean protection from physical violence and so on. You want to be part of a group that's going to defend you against whoever's attacking you, even if they're attacking you with, like arguing with you or something like that, or condemning you or calling you names or something like that. So people join a group, and then those groups, because they're set up as hostile against each other, they polarize and so on. What's interesting is I just mentioned them, the champions of climate justice in the world. The two people who come to mind as the main representatives of that position are Greta Thunberg globally and AOC in the US. Why am I pointing this out? Because if you're really concerned about the environment, then you should be choosing representatives who are most likely to get other people to agree with you. How do the two champions of the movement, how did you pick the two people on the planet who are least likely to get anyone on the other side to agree with them? I mean, if 8 billion people in the world, if you picked the two people on the planet who are going to be most revolting to the other side, as far as your cause is concerned, it's Greta Thunberg and AOC. Those are the two. Those are the two people on the planet who are least likely to win any support from the opposing side. Think about it. You could get people like some movie star that people tend to like, or a musician that people tend to like, and get that person saying, hey guys, we got to take care of the environment and so on. Instead, you get the two people who are far more likely to get other people to go, you know what? No, I'd rather burn the planet to the ground than be on the same side with you. That's who you get as your representative. Why? Because things become so polarized. That's who you choose for your group. You're not trying to get other people on the other side to agree with you. You want your own positions to be revolting to the other side, to do it and so on. And this is just a built-in tendency with people. When they feel like they're being attacked, you join a group, and then you become increasingly hostile, and you choose representatives for your group that are the most revolting and horrifying to the other side. And then you wonder, look, they're not agreeing with me. They're not agreeing with me. Of course, you're like the last person in the world I would agree with.
You know what's funny?
Why is it funny? Was it funny? Wait. You think the environment is funny?
Yes, I think it's hilarious.
You think climate justice is amusing? It's a joke to you? It's something for you to laugh at?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes. The funny thing is, I'm looking it up now. The general assessment is that, first off, Israel has compared to 50 other countries, a relatively low share of CO2 emissions by country. So focusing on Israel here, before so many other countries like Pakistan, Egypt, neighbors, and other countries is kind of weird. Of course, it's very weird. You could focus on Iran, for example, instead of focusing on Israel. Secondly, the general assessment, apparently, in climate change assessments and developments by country, Israel is doing a relatively good job in trying to control climate change, climate impacts, and all of that. Although, despite facing significant difficulties. So she could talk about so many different countries if climate change is the big deal that she is worried about. Instead, she decides to focus on one country that is relatively insignificant in terms of causing climate change in the world, and that is also, on the other hand, contributing to a lot of human development, which also, by the way, makes it more difficult for them to fight climate change because of a booming economy and constant inventions and developments and so on. This is just why in the world, if climate changes is your issue, would you then focus on Israel? Because it's the popular thing. Because people focus on it because it's Jews. Because it's popular among Muslims, and among leftists and communists and all that. This is just Greta is here being simply another little puppet of the current agenda driven by the leftist mindset that gives the world nothing at all except embarrassment and stupidity.
That is quite possibly the most racist thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I mean, keep in mind, she's on the autism spectrum, so you're not just hostile against a girl who was a little girl several years ago. It's also towards people who have, some people have issues, AP. You just have no concern at all for them.
That seems like a high score for me.
And you hate the environment.
Thank you.
And you hate the environment. I clipped Mike Winger saying, "I'm all brain," or as he would say it, "I'm all brain." I like Spock. You're welcome. We transfer. I don't know how to use that. Send it to us. Send it to us on Twitter. I would like to make fun of Mike Winger. Are you actually typing that in to try and get that, AP?
No. I'm still looking at Israel and climate change.
Josh says, notice all this conflict hinges on a single lie, that this faux identity of Arab Palestinians has ever had sovereignty or autonomy over Canaan.
Alhamdulillah.
That's why people got to learn some stuff and keep spreading it.
Alhamdulillah.
In the few explicit mentions in the New Testament of the language Jesus spoke, it says Hebrew in the original text. By the way, not Aramaic. See Acts 24, 26, 14, John 23, 2016. Bad news for the anti-Hebrew clowns. Oh, you talk about the gropers? The gropers? Goat Hub says...
It also says Shebrew.
If one sends pagers to one person... What's wrong with you? If one sends pagers to one person, it's as if they have sent pagers to all mankind.
That's good. That's
YouTube
good.
super chat wouldn't let me say what I wanted to say, lol.
That's pretty good.
It was something pretty creepy.
Pretty.
D-Wood, please show the colored website or app Yakub. You often used to list...
You don't say colored anymore. This is considered racist. Get with the times. What's wrong with you?
You often use to list Quran verses. I can't find this. Yeah, it's actually taken down. The person who, I mean, it's still there. It's weird. It's a weird link where they had it directed towards. It was like QuranBrowser.com, and then the person who was who had it forgot to renew the website domain. So now it's stored somewhere. I can still use it. I have access to it, but it's not a normal site anymore. So. Yeah. I actually want to. I want to get some programmers. I actually asked some tech nerds about it. They said it'd be a ton of work because no one actually has the password anymore to get into it and stuff like that. Because I wanted to just make a new Quran browser. I said, hey, can you take that? Because it's got 10 different translations and the Arabic transliteration at the bottom. Can you take all that content and do it? And I'll just make a new Quran browser and stuff. They said it would be very easy if they had access to it to get all the data, but they said it's a nightmare if they can't get into it, and they can't get into it. So anyway, not sure, but if they can figure out a way, then I will make my own Quran browser with all that same stuff on there.
Yeah, well, this is pretty hilarious. I'm looking at emission of greenhouse gas emissions by country. and percentage of the global world share, Israel is on 62 of countries, even behind countries like New Zealand and others. So it's very, very hilarious. Egypt is on 27. I'm sure she will criticize Egypt next and say, we need to boycott Egypt. The fight against Egypt is a fight for climate justice.
AP, why are you so
It is in our best interest to fight Pakistan, which is in the top 20.
Why are you so obsessed with climate justice, AP?
I just can't let it go, man. I wake up in the morning and I think about climate justice. I'm like,
Hey.
CJ, climate
Hey, is this that dude? Is this that dude? Let's say Apologetics Roadshow. You must watch a video made by Moshe Feiglin, former Israeli parliament member. The name of the video is Ali Khamenei. This is the day of judgment.
Oh,
is that the video you sent me?
Yeah, that's what
I did watch that. I did watch that, Joby Bar. I did watch that.
What do you think?
Very, very mean of him not to surrender to Iran and instead talks all kinds of trash about how, dude, God only helped you so you could help the Jewish people. And then you only exist right now because of us, because we took out Saddam's nuclear program.
it's pretty based.
It is on the based side of things. It's on the based end of the spectrum, ladies and gentlemen.
It is on the based side of things. I normally don't watch videos that are longer than 2 seconds, but I sat down and turned it on, and I was like, "This is interesting." It's very dramatic, so I watched the whole thing through. Not entirely sure what to think of it. I thought maybe I should review that sometime live.
You could. We'll jump into some tweets here from your buddy Dan Bilzerian after this super chat here. Hey, Dr. Wood and AP, sorry, this is off topic, but is mutta marriage and halala marriage the same? I know it is the same for its brutality. No, they're not the same. Mutta marriage is just prostitution. So you are away from your wife, you hire a prostitute, but you have to do it the Islamic way. So you actually marry her for an hour, 3 hours, 5 minutes, whatever you need, and you actually get married to her. So that is your wife for that time. So you pay her just like you pay a prostitute. Very frequently they will, it's actually arranged. It was actually arranged by someone else. You have Muslim clerics and so on involved in this and so on, doing this. So that's what mutta is, straight up prostitution. Halala marriage, that is where a man divorces his wife. In Islam, he cannot, if the woman wants to get remarried, they cannot get remarried until she marries someone else and has sex with him. And so if you're like in Islam, if I'm married to my wife. If I divorced her, I say, get out of here. I divorce you. And we are officially religiously divorced if we are Muslims. Then if we reconciled later and we said, you know what? Let's get back together. We're the parents of these kids and so on. Let's get back together. In Islam, we could not do that until she gets married to another guy and they consummate the marriage. Then she can divorce him, and then she can remarry me. That is the most insanely stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life, with the possible exception of breastfeeding adult men to avoid any sexual tension. But that is Islam. There needs to be some list of like the stupidest Islamic teachings. But that would definitely be one of them.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, now are you ready for your boy? I still don't know anything about this guy apart from the couple tweets that I've read and hearing you rant and complain about him. But guys, we have this guy Dan Bilzerian, and check this out, AP. We have Hassan Shibli saying, "What I have seen from Dan Bilzerian should inspire many Muslims and put many others to shame." And here they are. They caught him sitting on a couch reading the Quran. It's so weird how so many of these social media influencers, they just get caught reading the Quran. They're just sitting there minding their own business, and people are taking pictures and videos of them. I mean, we saw Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate was in his bedroom with the Quran resting on his balls while he's wearing some Daisy Dukes. And who was it? Was it Tristan? Was it a girl? We don't know. We don't know who caught him, but they caught him. They got a picture of him. It's weird. You got these social media guys, and people just keep catching them right when they're reading the Quran. You caught me. You caught me reading the Quran. I sit around on this couch reading the Quran, but you caught me with your picture. You got me. Oh, it's a good thing you took that. Oh, don't share that. No, don't share that on social media. Then everyone's going to know. Then I'm going to get praised by all the Muslims for reading the Quran. Don't do that. Don't share that. Come on. Come on. I'm trying to mind my own business reading here. Come. What a freaking clown show. Oh my goodness. So that's, and then they get praised for it. What I've seen from Dan Bilzerian should inspire many Muslims and put many others to shame. I saw him reading the Quran. Everyone should be put to shame. I mean, serious, you praise someone for doing something that's obviously just trying to get clicks. I mean, obviously. I mean, imagine some 20-year-old blonde Scandinavian girl. Oh, look, here's me reading the Quran. Hee. All she has to do is post that. Millions of views. Alhamdulillah, the power of the Quran is impressing everyone. No, you've just made it a very easy way for any idiot on the planet to get instant attention. AP, before we check out these tweets, what do you know off the top of your head about Dan Bilzerian? All I know is he was connected to, you've pointed out he's kind of like Andrew Tate or something like that.
You could say that in a way. Well, he's a gambler. He is
rich boy.
rich.
I remember rich boy, born rich, right?
He was born rich. He was rich. He got
Must
all
be
of his
nice.
from his daddy. Must be nice. And started spending it on gambling. Lost a bunch of his money. Got his lenders into trouble by losing it and being able to repay it. Had to liquidate his house, I think. Is known for doing weird things like with his losing and diminishing money, hiring prostitutes and making video shoots with them, hiring porn actors and having them over and then taking a bunch of photos with them, taking porn stars and prostitutes with him to shooting ranges and making videos, dramatic videos about shooting things.
Is it safe to say this guy likes attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a video of decided to record a video where he invites a porn star and then throws her off his rooftop, but then actually injured the woman when they did that, and also at some point got into a fight in a club and ended up kicking a model in the face.
That's like Andrew Tate. He like busted a woman's face or something like that.
Yeah, for which he got a lifelong ban from the club. Later, he clarified that he did this to stop a fight, but it's kind of an odd way to stop a fight by kicking a woman in the face.
Well, that's how I stop fights, because then everyone's distracted. They're like, "Hey, what were you fighting about? This dude's over here kicking this woman in the face, man. He's over there kicking this woman in the face. I don't know what we were fighting about, but this guy's over here kicking a woman in the face. Hey, let's stop fighting." You see, he brought about world peace.
And he is one of those people who have no reason at all to be known if it weren't for the fact that his daddy had money. That's it.
Must be nice. And so you have agreed that he likes attention. He likes attention. And so right here, someone caught him. Someone caught him reading the Quran. You caught me. You caught me. And then the Muslims are praising him for being the greatest man ever because he's reading the Quran. He's putting everyone to shame. He's putting Muslims to shame. He's putting others to shame by reading the Quran for a photo op. Reading the Quran for a photo op. Anyway, people responded to this. Let's go rabbit hole here. So 9MMSMG responded, said, weird. I wonder what the next step is, right? So, well, it looks like he had responded earlier and said, what at the bottom? Legitimately, I'm starting to believe there is an active financial pipeline being directed at popular influencers to convert. If Dan does, I'll feel vindicated in my assumption. So he had posted that, and then he posted, weird. I wonder what the next step is. I have to say, though, so are there people being paid to convert? I'm sure there are, because I've heard from two separate, I mean, you're talking opposite sides of the ocean, Arab Christian pastors, one in the UK, one in the US, who both told me they were offered endless trunks of money to convert to Islam and to say it was because of the power of the Quran and the amazing evidence of the Quran. So I know the offers are being made, and then you see people who actually convert, and it's okay. I know for a fact, offers are being made. Here's a bunch of money if you claim to convert to Islam and say it's because of all the evidence and so on. So I know it happens, but as for any individual person, I can't tell, because there's also the benefit of just, you get a ton of attention. You get a ton of instant praise and attention if you convert to Islam. So if you want instant attention, just say, hey, all the powerful evidence of Islam convinced me that it's true. You could do it just for that. You could do it just for the attention. So I don't know who's getting paid and who isn't getting paid. And Dan Bilzerian here, I don't know. Does he just want attention? If so, that would explain things. Is he getting paid and this is all part of the plan? Don't know. But yeah, these things happen. And AP, what was it back in the day? Was it Tristan who said he was offered?
Yeah. Tristan said that he was offered benefits in the Middle East if he converted to Islam. And his response to that was, of course, the great self-praise. And of course, I rejected that, because what kind of a person would I be if I converted to Islam for benefits?
Don't want to be like my brother.
I'm not talking about my brother, though. My brother, of course, made a different decision. But of course, it has nothing to do with this topic. Anyway, let's skip to the next topic.
Better man than my brother.
All right. So this guy actually pointed out, hey, this looks awfully suspicious here, given what's going on. And Bilzerian actually responded. Bilzerian responded to him. He says, I haven't converted or been paid $1. I was reading chapter 12, Joseph, which is also a story in the Bible. The Old Testament has been trampled on and rewritten. Bottom line is, any religion that says Jews are God's chosen people is obviously lying, and the Pope is a sellout.
Wow, man. Wow.
It's already giving Dawa talking points.
The Bible's been corrupted.
The Quran says that Jews were chosen people.
Wait. You're getting ahead of ourselves.
This is so stupid.
Should I show him, AP, what you just said? Should I show him what you just said?
This is
so, guys,
so stupid.
So think about how stupid this is, ladies and gentlemen. It's like,
I'm sick of the Bible talking about Jews being chosen to be a light to the Gentiles. You can't say they're called chosen Jews. That's nonsense. So I'm turning away from that. I'm going to the Quran. The Bible's been corrupted, even though the Quran says no one can corrupt Allah's word. But so I'll just go to the Quran, because that's going to show me the truth about the Jews. And this is one example of many, ladies and gentlemen. Surah 2, verse 47. O children of Israel, remember my favor wherewith I favored you, and how I preferred you to all creatures.
This is funny, because the Quran even makes it more, more explicitly
over and over again,
referring them to all others. The Bible doesn't even make it, turn it into such a thing where they are actually better than everyone else or preferred to everyone else. The Bible says that God chose them, that they have a special place, and they need to stick to the covenant if they want to retain that, and so on. The Quran just simply says Allah favored you above all others. It's actually the Quran that elevates them more than the Bible ever does. It's so funny.
Yeah, and so guys, just to recap here, just to recap, someone responds, "Hey, come on, this dude's sitting around reading the Quran. Seriously, you're not getting paid. What's going on here?" And then,
"There's a reason I'm reading the Quran. There's a reason the Old Testament talks about God choosing the Jews. I can't believe that. I can't believe that I have to reject the Old Testament that is affirmed by the Quran. And so I go to the Quran. Any religion that says Jews are God's chosen people is obviously lying." What is that? Any religion that says Jews are God's chosen people is lying. Any religion. Doesn't matter what the religion is. Any religion on the planet. Here's the Quran. "O children of Israel, remember my favor wherewith I favored you and how I preferred you to all creatures." All creatures. All creatures. What? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the world-renowned scholar of religions, Dan Bilzerian, being as stupid as possible. All right, just kind of one more thing I wanted to check out from your buddy Gad Sad. We've both been on his show, haven't we, in the past?
I had him on my show.
You had him on, yeah, you had him on your show. I was on his show because
I just want to make a comparison here. I just want to make a comparison here. Just to solidify this whole thing here. The Bible says in Deuteronomy 7:6 the following: "For you are a holy people to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for his own possession out of all the people who are on the face of the earth." It does not imply anywhere any sense of being superior to all creation. And now, what does the Quran say again, David? And what is the verse again?
Well, there are a ton of them. But the one I just put up there, "O children of Israel, remember my favor wherewith I favored you and how I preferred you to all creatures."
Yeah. Over all creatures. So honored you above all creatures, whatever the translation you want to go to. So in the Bible it is I chose you of all the people on the face of the earth. In the Quran it is I prefer you over all creatures. Mm-hmm. It is actually the Quran that you should be calling a lie then, if this is your problem.
And he doesn't get it, and it can be pointed out to him. He won't get it. And the Dawa guys will praise him even though they know what the Quran says. Wild stuff, man.
This is stupid, man. People really don't need to. People really need to get one thing. Chosenness is not about superiority in the biblical idea. But people think it is. And in Islam, it actually is. And Islam actually rebukes the Jews and makes Muslims superior to all creatures, and makes non-Muslims inferior to all creatures, including cockroaches. This is an Islamic idea. If people really had a problem with such ideas, they should have a problem with Islam, with the Quran, not with the Bible or with Judaism.
Weird, wild stuff. Leftists fall for emotional propaganda. Ignore facts. No, leftists are all about facts. Just look at Cenk Yogurt. Pierce keeps calling Israel occupiers just because they cut off the free electricity Palestinians get. What's wrong with him? Yeah, Pierce is cool in some ways, but he's got some issues in other ways. My grandmother moved on to her reward recently, and I inherited her cat, Bob. Alhamdulillah, Bob.
Alhamdulillah.
Freddie A says, I'm blown away. Muhammad breastfeed from a guy.
I'm blown away, Muhammad breastfeed.
Yep, that was his uncle Abu Talib. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Michael Hop. Yeah, no.
That's not true.
Hard times create David Wood and AP. David Wood and AP create good times. Good times create Cenk Uygur, Mike Winger, Greta Thunberg. And Mike Winger, Cenk Uygur, Greta Thunberg create hard times.
This is all wrong. It's actually
I fixed it.
It's actually God creates strong men. God creates good times. God creates weak men, and God creates hard times. That's how it's supposed to be.
I remember how that played out one day on Twitter. That was funny. Something tells me Christians won't be catching on to the trend of scripture ball reading photo ops anytime soon. Proof week. Yeah, Christians, we don't keep getting caught. With these.
Look at me. I'm just sitting here.
The right way to read it is to put it on your balls. That's the right way to read scripture. How dare you read it otherwise?
Dan Dave says, Islam is a male chauvinist dream. It is a supremacist belief system where every other group is inferior to Muslim men. That's why Tate likes it. Ha! Well, if that's all true, where do I sign up?
Philip Palestino, some Philip Alfonso says, Free Palestine. Get out of it with your scam. We don't want the scam here. We don't buy the scam. You say free, but you're trying to sell it to us for some other stuff. We don't want it. We don't want you free Palestine. We don't want you 50% off Palestine. We don't want you buy one, get to one free Palestine. We don't want any of that stuff. Please stop advertising.
Yeah, and that funny. They can't even give this away. They can't even give it away.
Yeah.
That should tell you something. You can't even give that stuff away for free.
Stupid.
Convert to Islam. Dr. Faustus, anyone? What's with all the German references? Isn't Jamiat Tirmidhi 2653 Sahih, Dead Sea Scrolls, and New Testament manuscripts from century before Momo destroying the Dawa script about Bible corruption? That would be the passage where Muhammad says that Jews and Christians have the Torah and the gospel, right? Let's see, Jami.
The Torah and Injil are with the Jews,
with
and
the
the
Jews and
Christians.
Christians, yeah.
What do they avail of them? Yeah, this is what this. What do they avail of them?
Yeah, that's an important hadith. That's an important hadith because it's the reasoning employed. Because if you say, if you were to tell a Muslim, Muhammad said that the Jews and Christians have the Torah and the gospel, he would say, oh yes, they have corrupted versions, not the true versions. But Muhammad in that hadith, he says that knowledge is going to depart from the Muslim community. And a Muslim objects and says, what are you talking about? We have the Quran and we read it, we recite it and so on. And Muhammad's response is, what, you think that's gonna help you? Jews and Christians have the Torah and the gospel, don't they? Now that would not work as a response if Jews and Christians had a corrupt Torah and gospel. If we had a corrupt Torah and gospel, then the reason knowledge has departed from us will be because we corrupted our scriptures. So it wouldn't be a defense of his claim that knowledge is departing from the Muslim community. And so Muhammad's response only makes sense if he's saying, guys, even though you still have the Quran, knowledge is going to depart from you because you're not going to understand it. You're not going to understand it. And to prove this, Jews and Christians have the Torah and the gospel, and look, they don't really understand it. They're misunderstanding things and coming up with false doctrines and so on. So yes, that is very important on the issue of Bible corruption. Israel is making us Iraqi war vets proud, yet sad. They are doing so fast what we were supposed to do many, many years ago. The fact a new generation is dealing with this is our failure. We wanted this. Yeah, AP and I have talked about that. You know, back in the day, you fought a war to win, and then you imposed conditions to make sure things were fixed. And now, even if you win a war, it's politicians will jump in there and screw everything up and make sure it's all destroyed.
Back in my day.
And then you end up in the exact same situation over again.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, great Tim Pool always brings that quote up. Which one? Which quote does Tim Pool bring up? I don't know what this is in reference to.
The one about men creating things.
Yeah. That's what
men don't create things.
That sounds like a Tim Pool thing. All right.
Sounds like blasphemy. That's what it sounds like.
Gad Sad. You familiar with him?
Never heard of him.
I still think we should read his recent book and do a review. It sounds like the sort of thing I would be very interested in.
Which one?
his parasitic mind.
Parasitic Mind. I already read it, man.
I know. That's what you said. Well, you listened to it on Audible. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is the same thing.
I think if I read it then we could actually review it because you've listened to it.
I would have to probably listen to it again.
I think it would be cool to pick books that might be helpful in screwed up times, read them, and if there's good stuff, recommend them.
That's what they do.
You had an objection recently. Much like Dan Bilzerian, we have this ongoing objection. You know what's crazy is, as you pointed out, like it's pretty clear what chosen means in the Bible, and it's not what all these guys say it means. It has nothing to do with what these guys say. If you ask these guys, what does God chose the children of Israel mean in the Bible?
It means they're there to conquer the world and slaughter us all, and do this, do all the things that Islam says that Muslims should do to the world. That's what it says. It's like, no, it doesn't at all. That's not what it means at all. In fact, the dumb interpretations you guys give of that are, God specifically says he's not telling them that. I mean, he specifically tells them that it's not because you're great. It's not because that's not why I'm choosing you. I'm choosing you because these guys have done messed up stuff and I'm bringing you in to punish them. And he says, and if you do the exact same things that these people do, I'll punish you in the exact same way. And he says, I've chosen you to fulfill my promise to Abraham. But he warns them, you do the same thing other nations do, I will treat you exactly like the other nations. And they are chosen to be a light to the Gentiles and so on, things like that. As far as you're this superior people and everyone else is garbage and you get to walk all over them and conquer them and so on. No, that's not what it means. That's what it means in Islam by saying Muslims are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. Surah 3, verse 110. Surah 98, verse 6. Jews and Christians and polytheists are the worst of creatures. That's the idea you find in the Quran. But everyone blames the Jews for thinking that. And you have Muslims attacking Jews by accusing Jews of believing what Islam teaches. And that's the great condemnation. What are you laughing at?
You know, it's so ironic. The video that I sent you, of the Jewish guy talking to Khamenei. Mm-hmm. So that the guy talking is Moshe Feiglin, and he is known as a very hardline, right-wing, far-right religious guy in Israel. So that guy is considered very, hardline, right-wing nationalist guy. But you see what he says in the video when he talks about the difference between us and you, as he talks to Khamenei. He says that you believe in a world where you impose your beliefs on others, where you force people to do certain things, where you conquer and expand and do this and that. We believe in the opposite. We believe in free will and the choice, giving humans a choice, not coercing anyone to do anything, and so on, letting people choose their own beliefs and things like that. This is the far right guy, the far right Jewish nationalist religious guy. This is how Jewish far right guys actually act and talk. On the other hand, you have the Islamists who actually want global conquest, but everything is upside down. They keep making the Jews look like the world, the ones who are all after conquering the world and subjugating everyone and forcing everyone and so on. It's just so ridiculous, man.
And it's interesting because if you in that video, he's saying, in effect. So if this guy's the far right, so if this guy's the extremist, he's extreme about a person having to freely decide whether he wants a relationship with God in this way and so on. And so it's amazing. It's like the extremist is your personal freedom is extremely important and you can't impose that on people and so on. Anyway, wild stuff. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead and check out this. So this was a response to Gad said. And it said, tell me, what is the difference between we are the master race and we are God's chosen people? Mm-hmm. Hang on. You know it's serious because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 question marks. That's like, what's the difference? What's the difference between Germans trying to exterminate entire groups of people and people saying, hey, God chose us to be a light to the Gentiles? Well,
this is so funny. Anyone who ever asks this question or makes this objection is obviously not a Christian or a Muslim, or doesn't know anything about Christian or Muslim texts or beliefs.
Or you don't know anything and this random groper does. Chucky Espinoza. You going to challenge the great scholar of religions, Chucky Espinoza? Huh? Shame on you, sir. Shame on you. But, so this was a response to Gad Saad, and Gad Saad responded to this. He said, Gad Saad's an atheist, as far as I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gad says, while I'm not a fan of the chosen people appellation, it refers to being chosen by God to lead a virtuous life by example so that other people may be inspired to do the same.
Exactly.
Being the master race in the Nazi sense is to have the green light to exterminate others who are inferior to you.
Exactly.
Judaism is, by definition, not expansionist.
Exactly.
It might be construed as theologically arrogant, but then again,
Yes.
so are the other Abrahamic religions, if not much more so.
Exactly.
Hope this helps.
Exactly.
Amen. What's crazy is no matter how many times you point this out, they just keep saying,
Oh no, Jews, they say they're chosen. If they say they're chosen, they're saying they're going to crush and exterminate all the people. This is why they want to take over the entire Middle East and then the entire world. Even though they don't have anywhere near enough people to do it.
Look, even in biblical times, even in biblical times, when the Israeli society, when the Jewish society was relatively, warlike, and did value fighting and being strong in defense and this and that, there is one thing that is missing there, which is a history of expansionism, a history of conquest. They didn't do it. Why didn't they do it? Why didn't the Jews, why didn't ancient Israelites go out and think, oh, just as all the others want to conquer, it is now our time to expand and to subjugate all the others, to conquer them and to impose our values on them? No, they were known for staying within a certain land, within certain boundaries. Just staying there. And their big worry was always not that we are trying to conquer, but we are losing. Their big worry is these others are coming to invade us. Why won't they leave us alone? God be with us. God help us. This is biblical. This is biblical, man. It's not history, it's not anything. It is directly biblical, if that's what you want to trust. If you want to trust the history, it is directly historical that they were always confined in this space when it came to statehood and governance. They didn't try to get out of there. They didn't try to conquer everyone else, subjugate everyone else. They didn't try to enslave others and subjugate others. They stood within that space. In today's time, in modern Zionism, in modern Israel, the ambition is once again simply all we want is to exist in peace in this tiny little frickin' place here. This tiny little place here. Tiny little insignificant little place here. How about just let us live here and go and do whatever the hell you want somewhere else? Just allow us this little thing, which has been consistently the idea in the Bible, in history, and today. This is all it is. This is literally all it is. It never had any ambitions of being expansionist and conquering the world or anything like that. The entire idea was the nations of the world, and this is also in the Bible, that the nations of the world are wicked, nations of the world are chasing after the wind, chasing after glory, chasing after this, chasing after that. What you, God's people, are supposed to do is to be good, is to be a light, is to follow his commandments and not be bothered with this nonsense, so that you show others the way to also be holy. That's it. You can get this simply very easily by just reading the Bible, by looking at the history, by, I don't know, talking to Jews, by simply looking at modern Jewish ambitions. You can get all of these things very, very easily. So when people come along here and they're like, oh, you are downplaying Jews, you're downplaying Israel, you're making excuses. They want bloodshed, they want conquest, they want oppression. I'm sorry, you are an idiot. You are an idiot. You are completely ignorant and have no idea what you're talking about. You're listening to online memes and spending time on forums, online forums, and whatever it is. You're talking nonsense. There is no Jew in the world, no religious Jew who says, when the time comes, we will go out and conquer everybody. This is not a Jewish idea.
You know, it's interesting. There are all these passages. We might want to make a video about this someday. But you have these passages when the children of Israel are about to go into the promised land and so on, that God gives them all these warnings, and it says, and don't touch the land of the Edomites. I have given that to them. Don't take 1 inch of their land. That belongs to them. And then they go up by the Ammonites and the Moabites, and he says, do not touch the land of the Ammonites and the Moabites. I've given them that land as an inheritance. And so you have, Israel's not supposed to be taking over. They're told not to. Your land is right here. I'm giving you this land. As long as you obey me, I'm giving you this spot. That's your spot. There were people on that before. I warned them and gave them 4 centuries to repent of these horrible things, child sacrifice and so on. They refused to repent. Now I'm sending you in. You are going to judge them. If you do those same things they do, I will destroy you like I destroyed them. But don't touch the land of these other people. I'm not giving you that other land. I'm not giving you that land. I'm giving this land. And somehow, every Dawa clan on the planet,
the Jews are trying to take over the world. They believe that because they're the chosen people, they get to subjugate the entire world. Oh, no, we have to stop them. We have to stop them from conquering the world in the name of their God. That's why we, Muslims, need to obey Muhammad. When he said, I've been commanded to fight people until they say there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. You see?
What is this, man? It's like we're living in opposite world.
I know, it's upside down. Everything is upside down, presented to us. We should make a whole thing about this, man. We should seriously make a whole series about explaining.
What does chosen mean or something? Just something like you think. I like to go into like deep topics that people haven't tried, maybe they haven't noticed or they haven't thought about, or I try to give an argument, but in a different way that might stick in people's minds. It's really no, people need the most basic, simple information because they're all completely clueless. And it's okay, I need simple facts for people.
There is an ancient proverb by the Chinese that goes, the good thing about social media is that everyone can share their opinions. The bad thing about social media is that everyone can share their opinions.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah. That was the great Lao Tzu.
Yeah, exactly.
Powerful words back then. Powerful words. Let's see. Let's take these remaining super chats. Hey, who is here? He says, AP, please make a song about Muhammad breastfeeding using AI app. Wait, Mo breastfed. Oh, okay. So that's Muhammad being breastfed by his uncle Abu Talib. Now, guys, if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense for a man to be breastfeeding Muhammad, it was a miracle, something miraculous in the Shia Hadith. And so Muhammad was breastfed by his uncle. And it's funny because if you point out how stupid and silly that is, people are like, oh, but you believe in miracles too, so how can you say? Guys, The hadiths are very late stories and they don't make any sense. So Allah is performing miracles through Abu Talib. Muhammad didn't have any miracles, but Abu Talib, his uncle, did. Abu Talib was a pagan and he never converted to Islam, even though he's been giving these miracles. But that's the point. The whole thing doesn't make sense. Obviously fabricated when they're trying to make Muhammad's birth miraculous in various ways, because according to Islam, Jesus' birth and even afterwards when he's speaking as a baby and so on had this miraculous birth and early childhood and so on. And they try to make up stories about how things were so miraculous for Muhammad. Obvious silly nonsense.
Alhamdulillah.
But that would be a good song. What do you expect on German Unity Day? Many Germans in this stream and many German references. Please, in Ali Dawa voice.
Und wir sind stolz darauf.
Und wir sind stolz darauf.
That's pretty good.
Yep, and we are. That should be clipped. That should be clipped. Omar says, Israel, the only nuke in Middle East country, can wipe out all their neighbors, yet Saudi, UAE, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, etc. is more concerned about a nuclear Iran than Israel. That is a good point. You can have people going, oh, Israel. It's like, okay, Israel has nuclear weapons. How many people are terribly worried about Israel having nuclear weapons around there? No one. Everyone around there is terrified of Iran having nuclear weapons. What's that mean? It means people understand even the Muslim nations understand there is a huge difference between Israel and Iran in this entire situation. Omar says, even Saddam calls Iran his biggest enemy over Israel and the U.S. It was, if you're talking about Iraq, yeah. Dan Dave said, I met someone who is LGBT for Palestine. This is a question for you, AP. I met someone who is LGBT for Palestine, and she said she saw Palestinians as oppressed people like herself. What to do with this kind of thinking?
Wait. I met someone who is LGBT for Palestine, and she said she saw Palestinians as oppressed people like herself. What to do with this kind of thinking?
So you ask, hey, why are you supporting her? Why are you supporting these people? Oh, because they're oppressed and I'm oppressed. See, that's why I support them. All us oppressed people need to unite.
There was a time in the past, or maybe it's just the wrong time of the day. I don't know, but sometimes I think that. With some people, it's not necessary to discuss anything.
Yeah, Dan Dave, I would play for her the Osho clip and say Osho was talking about you. No, but really, Dan Dave, it's pretty easy and straightforward to look up. Just look up gays in Palestine, things like that. We know what happens to them. We know what happens to them there. And it's not pretty at all.
In the West, you are if you're gay or trans or lesbian, whatever, you are oppressed insofar that some people say mean things to you, and you somehow think, if by that definition you think Palestinians are oppressed, then yeah, sure, okay, fine. Go ahead. Yeah. Fair comparison. Fair comparison. Good enough. Yeah. If you, however, think that such oppression should drive you to go out and mass shoot people and bomb yourself and throw bombs into places and rape people and torture them and set them on fire and kidnap them and so on and execute them, then you have a problem.
So, the root cause of the oppression is you have a bunch of terrorists in Gaza and the West Bank who want to annihilate Israel, wipe it off the map, and Israel won't let them do it, and Israel takes precautions to make sure they can't do it, and that is the oppression. And so I'd point out what the actual oppression is, and ask your LGBT friend, hey, are you trying to subjugate and wipe people off the map and then they're stopping you? Is that what you mean by oppressed? Because if not, then you're talking about a completely different kind of oppression.
Alhamdulillah.
Kenneth says, I'd like to see D. Wood response to the book, God is Not Great. Do people still read that? Anyone still read that?
Be careful what you say now. Just, despite my change in thinking, this book was written by the Holy Prophet himself.
It's like, David, you have to respond to Bertrand Russell's Why I'm Not a Christian. Michael Feldman says, this is not a joke against AP. Has anyone heard about the Turks giving money to New York City Mayor Adams? Was that Turks? Was that Turks? There was a big scandal. He was taking money. I think it was.
I saw a headline where he said that that Turkish peeps approached him and offered him certain benefits and stuff. But since I don't care about these politics, I didn't read any further.
Wow. Scandal, scandal, scandal. Dan Dave says, is there anything in the Quran that is actually right? They get all historical people like Jesus, Alexander wrong. The description of the world is wrong. Real challenge should be finding something right in it. No, there are correct things in the Quran because Muhammad was stealing lots of stuff. Almost everything in the Quran, he's stealing from other stuff, and he'll just twist it to make it Islamic. So who's like the most, who's popular in our time? It wouldn't matter. Whatever you think is the most important. Like if you were a huge Taylor Swift fan or something like this, and you were like, hey, Muhammad, did you hear Taylor Swift? His new song is so banging. Then Muhammad would go back and write, and Taylor Swift has said, I'm a true prophet. And so that's how it worked. He's taking stories and so on. So yeah, you end up with a lot of nonsense because there are lots of there's a bunch of stupid stories circulating. But you do end up with, he couldn't tell the difference between accurate information and non-accurate information. But you do have things in there. In fact, Dan Dave, if you check out, it's one of my recent videos. It shouldn't be too far back. But if you check my videos on this channel, there's one recently where I call it something like, I'm an Islam critic, but these Quran verses are awesome. You could check that out. I'll give you some examples.
Yeah, the Quran would say things like, and they ask you about Kim Kardashian, say, Allah has blessed Kim Kardashian with great bounties, and so on. Mm-hmm. But so there are some things where it's actually accurate. For example, at some point it calls Muhammad ignorant or unlettered. I would say that is accurate. On another part, it says that
it calls him a sinner. Repeatedly tells him to repent of his sins because he's a sinner.
It says that, and they say that he's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point by the Quran as well, and so on. So there are, of course, accurate things in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true, and repeatedly pointing out that Muhammad couldn't perform miracles and so on.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. There's good stuff. Michael here says, "You see, you're done. You're finished, boy. Look at me. You know you're done." I added that myself. Dan says, why do leftists never consider religious minorities in the Muslim world as oppressed? No tears, no protests for them ever. Why is their treatment not apartheid? That's a really good question. Look at the treatment of Christians in Pakistan and Egypt. You have Yazidis in areas where Muslims have control over them. Hindus in places like Pakistan and Bangladesh. Yeah, wherever you have a religious minority, they are not treated well. They're not treated well, but no protest for them, no tears for them. And their treatment is never apartheid. Why? Doesn't involve Jews. Doesn't involve Jews. Hamas has executed one of their senior gay leaders.
That's what they did. Yeah, that's true.
Do.
It was several years ago. As he was gay, they executed him.
That's weird. The only places LGBT are oppressed are Muslim countries. These people are beyond mental. Give me one example showing LGBT are oppressed in the USA. Yeah, and AP pointed that. What do you mean oppressed? Someone might disagree with you or say I'm not using your pronouns or something like that. That's your oppression here.
Some people look at you weirdly. That is literally genocide, man.
Yeah.
Don't downplay this.
And you have other places where they would beat you to death, or if they made it official, would sentence you to death and toss you off a roof or hang you from a crane or something like that.
But it's their culture. culture. So
Yeah, but it's okay because they're oppressed by who? By the Jews. The Jews won't let them exterminate them. Ah! And Van here says, are we in the end times currently with Israel's war? Going to give you the straight answer, Van G official, you don't know. You can always point to stuff and say it's the end times. And it may be the end times. This may be the end times. The end times might not be for another 10,000 years. You don't know. You don't know. All right, everyone. AP, do we know anything that's coming up?
tomorrow we might do a live stream again. Are you available tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Thursday?
Thursday. It's Thursday.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I believe so.
Tomorrow we're gonna do a live stream, most likely about something based.
Something based. And if anyone didn't see it, if any of you channel members did not see it, there is already a video. It will be public tomorrow, but if you want to watch it now, it is in a community. It's in a community post. You can check it out. You can go watch it now. It is available for channel members. Other than that, we'll see. Yeah, so that'll be public tomorrow morning. That'll be public tomorrow morning. And last super chat here. Muslims ethnically cleanse, genocide, terrorize, and oppress Jews for centuries. Jews exist in their homeland. Leftists, you see, Jews oppress Muslims. That is how things are in a nutshell. Welcome to our world. Opposite world. Upside down world. It's pretty crazy. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Stay away from Islam.